Chapter-661-kill. Landslides. Luhan knew that with Shikatsumiku, Dead Bone Pulse, large-scale group attack, it would be difficult to cause serious damage to the army, because the larger the Shikatsumiku Dead Bone Pulse range was, the weaker the control. Not only the time when the bone spurs appeared it will be slower, and the speed of the stab will also be slower, but Luhan's purpose is not to seriously injure or directly kill these 3,000 people, but to disrupt their formation. Shikatsumiku Dead Bone Pulse is enough to change the terrain, and while changing the terrain, there is bound to be chaos in the hordes of ninjas, not to mention there are bound to be casualties. As long as they are in chaos and cannot jointly launch ninjutsu, Luhan will have a chance to kill them. Boom _ Shikatsumiku Dead Bone Pulse Triple Eruption. The first attack came from the mountain, and the bone spurs appeared the fastest. While causing a lot of casualties to the ninjas who climbed the mountain collapsed due to the numerous holes pierced by the bones. I don't know how many ninjas were caught in the rubble, smashed to death or buried alive. At the same time, there were a lot of casualties among the hordes of ninjas at the foot of the mountain, but most ninjas seized the opportunity to jump up, and the number of injured ninjas far exceeded the number of deaths. The outermost attack appeared last. Although there were not many ninjas who died directly, the formation was in chaos. Luhan disappeared on the collapsed mountain, flashing appeared at the foot of the mountain, and then his waist twisted. Hundreds of Hiraishin kunai were thrown in all directions by Luhan. In the ceiling formation, Luhan and the outside world Hiraishin kunai were cut off. Contact, however, he can still have no contact with Hiraishin in the barrier, and cast a flash. The newly formed bone spur forest was swept away by thousands of ninjas with ninjutsu before it receded on its own. Luhan didn't have the heart to control it anymore. What he wanted to do was to break through, not to kill people here. Although with his current strength, with one enemy and 3,000, he may not necessarily lose, but he has a bigger chance of winning. But you must know that there are not only 3,000 ninjas in Kurigakure village, but also 1,000 or 2,000 ninjas stationed in various places in the village to prevent other thieves from taking advantage. Enter empty. More importantly, Kurigakure's first army is stationed on the western coast of the main island, only half a day away from Kurigakure village. Once it is dragged, Kurigakure will have a large army to come back. Luhan didn't plan to fight to the death here. In the chaos of the army, Luhan rushed to kill with a knife and blood, leaving a corpse wherever he passed. He mostly killed the enemy with knife techniques. If it was not necessary, he would not use ninjutsu, because to use ninjutsu, he must stay somewhere for a certain amount of time. He can't stop, he must keep moving, so as not to suffer a large-scale group attack. Relying on Hiraishin's technique, Luhan moved his position many times. Whenever the ninjas tended to assemble and form, they would appear and break up their formation. Thousands of ninjas, no enemy of Luhan. Ghost Lamp Patriarch had his eyes split open. He didn't expect Konoha Hangwang to be so fierce. At the same time, he also realized that even if he included himself, these dozen top masters rushed to Luhan's side. I'm afraid they are not Luhan's opponents. Not only it is only impossible to kill Luhan, but it may kill a few. Kurigakure, who has had 2 civil strife, is already unstable. At this time, he encounters Konoha Hangwang, who is blocking the killing Buddha. Many people are already timid. Breaking the game, as long as some more people die, I am afraid that there will be a situation of rout. The army was scattered and routed, and in fact it did not have to kill most of the people for this to happen. If it is a well-trained and disciplined army, most of the casualties will be lost, and the rest will not flee. Instead, they will fight with the enemy and fight to the death. If training an army with general discipline, only a small number of casualties are required, and chaos may occur, and there may be a situation of rout. It's like a war that involves hundreds of thousands of people at every turn, and it's often the case that there are only 50,000 people on one side and 150,000 people on the other. How can 50,000 people win? Just clench your fists, hit them head on, kill 10,000 or 20,000 opponents, and the whole army will be affected. Of course, because of experience and knowledge, ninja wars are different from ordinary wars, but they are also similar. Sengoku period. Before the establishment of the 5 great ninja villages, the elites of the Uchiha clan were completely wiped out, and the new ninjas who joined the army were not very disciplined due to lack of training, and felt hopeless to win. After being attacked by the Senju clan, they fled and escaped. Situation of surrender. And now, the 2 or 3,000 ninjas besieging Luhan are not as good as the Uchiha Corps at that time in all respects, and the civil strife will lose people's hearts. They still don't know, who are they working for? The Ghost Lamp Patriarch has been issuing orders, but it is not right. The Ghost Lamp Patriarch sees everything in his eyes. If Kurigakure now has boiling rain, Ghost Lamp ghosts and such powerhouses, even if it is not as good as Hengwang, there are helpers who can lead him to restrain the coldness. Unfortunately, Kurigakure has lost too many masters in recent years. Cut the cold light, reward the achievements of eternal retirement, reward thousands of dollars, and seal the honorary advisor. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch shouted, inspiring people. Under the reward, there must be a brave man. The Ghost Lamp Patriarch felt that this was not enough, and immediately said, brothers, hold on, the first main battle army has returned to help, and it will arrive soon. This son of Hengwang is my mortal enemy of Kurigakure. Kill me. Some encouragement, the Ghost Lantern Patriarch immediately called a few strong Kurigakure to his side. His face rose decisively, and whispered, if Hengwang is let go today, his fame will definitely be further improved, and even he will be recognized as the new god of ninjas, and our Kurigakure, our reputation will fall to the bottom. Losing face is a trivial matter. I am afraid that when the time comes, Konoha and Rayan will see the opportunity and raise their troops to attack. Must kill him. Damn, how could he be so powerful? Everyone knows the seriousness of the problem. At present, Kurigakure has lost too many troops. It would be good if the cold light is left, but if not, Kurigakure is likely to follow in the footsteps of Konoha, and there is a risk of being besieged. Master Shu, what do you think? The Ghost Lantern Patriarch suddenly turned his head to look at the ninja with a childish face and asked very strangely. The elderly ninja known as Master Shu seemed to understand the meaning of the Ghost Lamp Patriarch. His face turned gloomy, and then he said, as dust returns to dust, Kurigakure made me what I am today, and I am willing to die for Kurigakure. Chapter 0662-Cold Death Technique. Master Shu is nearly 70 years old. Generally speaking, there are strong men of this age in the 5 great ninja villages, all of whom are in a detached position. Whoever becomes the leader will treat such ninjas with courtesy, and they will be called adults. In fact, even if you are not 70 years old, as long as you are old enough, you will receive enough courtesy. Example, Konoha's Inuzuka tears. Sarutobi Hiruzen will call out the words, Inuzuka tears, directly when giving orders. At other times, they will be called Lord Tears, and Inuzuka tears will be called Lord Hokage in return. Lord Tingshu agreed, and the Ghost Lamp Patriarch was very happy, but Lord Shu said again, I'm afraid. I'm old and frail, I can't control the cold light, and I gave my life in vain. I would like to live and die together with Lord Shu. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch said directly. The other strong men around also followed. I wish to live and die together with Lord Shu. Good. My life is worth it. Lord Shu laughed. Luhan has been rushing back and forth in the chaotic army for more than 20 minutes. The sky is already bright. There are corpses everywhere near the broken mountain. Blood is flowing into rivers. Kurigakure has lost nearly 700 people, and more than half of the wounded. The military heart has arrived. The brink of collapse. Luhan rushed to the edge of the sealing barrier again, slammed the seal 3 times with the strange force of body art, and then moved to another place to prevent it from being surrounded. I have to admit that this kind of large-scale sealing barrier that requires hundreds of people to cast, although it is difficult to arrange, needs to be prepared in advance, and is not used on the battlefield, but as long as it is used skillfully, it can have miraculous effects. Luhan has attacked the barrier more than a dozen times, but it still hasn't been broken. Sweetened water style, the art of irrigation. Sweetened water style, great waterfall technique. Quote. Sweetened water style, Hayata's art. A dozen Jonins rushed to Lu Han's side and released the sweetened water style ninjutsu. Kaden fire style, majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation. Kaden fire style, great fire destruction. Lu Han cast Kaden fire style one after another. The flames that came one after another evaporated a lot of water, forming a white fog that was enough to fill the entire enchantment space, which gave Lu Han a chance. Lu Han disappeared again, and continuous flashes appeared in the enchantment. The edge of the world attacked the enchantment. The thick fog obscured the sight of most people. Some ninjas used ninja to eliminate the water vapor, and the fog quickly became extremely thin. At this moment, the 500 Kurigakure ninjas who had assembled in the distance before killed Lu Han. Simultaneously release ninjutsu. 5 Rashomon. Lu Han had to repeat his old tricks and used Susanoo. In fact, he didn't like to use Susanoo because his right eye vision had already deteriorated a lot. Set conditions to exchange Mangekyo. This time, the continuous attack only broke open the Rashomon, but did not break Susanoo. Lu Han let out a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to relieve Susanoo, he was suddenly shocked, and he felt a very unusual sense of crisis. Cold light. Die. Hidden in the chaos of the army, Lord Shu, who was in front of Lu Han, burst out, jumped dozens of meters, held a long knife, and stabbed with an unrivaled attitude. Lu Han's eyes were strange. This old guy's rating was only 50 gold. Open Susanoo. Lu Han despised Lord Shu, but he showed no mercy, and Susanoo grabbed him with his huge hand. Shu stab at Susanoo. Lu Han didn't feel any attacking power, but then, Lord Shu shot a blue light between his eyebrows, which went straight through Susanoo and hit Lu Han's body. Like falling into an ice cave. This was originally an adjective, but now it was Lu Han's real feeling. He felt that he was frozen, he couldn't move, and even chakra couldn't flow. This is. Lu Han was extremely surprised, staring at the old man with a childish face. Master Shu was suspended in the air and turned to ashes from under his feet. Obviously, this is a Matsuri offering. The price of performing this technique is life, which cannot be reversed. He used the knife and slashed before, just pretending to get close to Lu Han, probably because he was afraid that Lu Han would attack him with ninjutsu, so the ninjutsu would hit him directly and his jutsu would be interrupted. Ha 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 ha, Han Guang, die. Die, Lord Shu shouted excitedly. Wow underscore. The supply of chakra, Susanoo suddenly shattered. 2 seconds have passed, and Master Shu turned to ashes, and the cold feeling began to subside from Lu Han, but he still couldn't move, his body was floating in the air, and he was frozen. Death to me. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch came violently, rushed to Lu Han in front of everyone's looking up eyes, and slashed down with a knife. In fact, he has more choices, such as using ninjutsu. Maybe there is a chance to really kill Lu Han, but he chose the most dangerous method, not because of his brain problem, but because of his selfishness. Why did he plan so many things and let Lord Shu use the cold death technique to control Lu Han? Even if Han Guang runs away, it is not his responsibility. He is for the Mizukage position. He thought about it. After today's incident, Kurigakure still holds tens of thousands of ninjas and ranks among the 5 major ninja villages. Among them, the commanders of the major legions may become candidates for Hokage. Compared with those commanders, the advantage of the Ghost Lamp Patriarch is not obvious. Mainly because the Ghost Lamp Ghost and the Dead, and Boiling You also has a deep relationship with the Ghost Lamp clan, which has caused the disgust of other factions. Therefore, the Ghost Lamp Patriarch felt that he had to do something to ensure that he could serve as a Mizukage in the future. He chose to kill Han Guang with his own hands. There is nothing more shocking than cutting off Han Guang's head in front of everyone. The cold feeling had only receded by half. Lu Han couldn't move, he could only reluctantly emphasize using chakra, the Ghost Lamp clan leader to kill, watching the strong man who was in his late 40s and the strength of his prime, who had stepped into the cage level threshold, rushed in front of him. Swinging the knife at his neck, Luhan did not choose to dodge with Horaishin's technique, but gathered chakra and hit him on the neck. Physical magic. Increase area defense type. Shikatsumyaku, dead bone pulse. Strengthen your bones. Kai _ A knife slashed on Luhan's neck, and even brought up a spark. The knife was too strong, breaking through the resistance of the strange force of taijutsu, and only stopped when it hit Luhan's neck bone. The bone was too hard to cut. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch was stunned. Luhan looked at the Ghost Lamp Patriarch mockingly. Shikatsumyaku, dead bone pulse, dance of the golden amber. Chapter-663-break the line. At this moment, there are not many chakras that Luhan can control, but based on the huge amount of chakras, even if only 1% can be used, it is enough to release Luhan's A-level group attack ninjutsu, not to mention the dance of Jinhu. Melee killing technique. At this moment, the Ghost Lamp Patriarch lost his mind. The moment before, he was fantasizing about killing Han Guang to become the hero of Kurigakure, so that he could successfully ascend the position of Mizukage, but now, all fantasies have come to nothing. His knife is enough to break the mountain and break the stone, but he can't chop off Han Guang's head. Hedgehog, with bone spurs all over his body. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch bore the brunt of it, and was pierced by 5 or 6 bone thorns, one of which passed directly through his door. The Ghost Lantern Patriarch is dead. Luhan quickly retracted the bone spurs and let the corpse of the Ghost Lamp Patriarch fall down. At the same time, he finally regained control of his body. The death chill technique that Master Shu used his life to use was actually very mediocre. Luhan only took a few seconds, which was inferior to the many sealing techniques of the Uzumaki family. But in these few seconds, Luhan experienced a crisis of death. If the Ghost Lantern Patriarch is not greedy for merit and calls on a group of strong men to attack Luhan with ninjutsu, Kaiden fire style is the best. Luhan will probably be burned to death. Too bad there is no if. Due to the death of the substantive commander of the Ghost Lamp Patriarch, the Kurigakure ninjas who were already timid in the barrier suddenly forgot to attack and looked up at Luhan. Kill. Han Guang has been wounded, this is an opportunity to kill him. Kill the cold light, reward 50 million. Someone in the crowd shouted words of encouragement, and suddenly woke up the Kurigakure ninjas who forgot to attack. The screams of killing started again. Fireballs, water Jinchuriki column, wind bombs. Hundreds of attacks poured into the sky, and Luhan was in the sky. Living target, the ninjas below do not need to form a queue, and do not need complex cooperation, they can attack Luhan at the same time. As the power of the death cold technique subsided, Luhan also began to fall from the sky. Call. Luhan disappeared into the sky, and immediately appeared in the densest area of ninjas. With his hands together, Susanoo reappeared. The gigantic Susanoo used the most direct way, with fists and feet, to pour out attacks around him. In less than a minute, the surrounding ninjas were completely dispersed, and nearly 100 people were killed or injured. Susanoo also endured many attacks. Luhan released Susanoo, relied on Horaishin's technique, and reappeared on the edge of the barrier, attacked several times in a row, and then retreated. Still can't be surrounded. Although Kurigakure had suffered heavy casualties, he still had nearly 2,000 combat power, including the wounded. Disappearing and appearing frequently, Luhan is always in a state of telling him to move. He has Rashomon and Susanoo in defense, Horaishin in mobile, and swordsmanship that is enough to fight Hanzo in melee combat. In the case of Kurigakure losing his top combat power, Luhan is like a legendary warrior of the ancient times, attacking and killing back and forth in the chaotic army, like entering a realm of no one. The Kurigakure Legion was already unstable, and after the death of the Ghost Lamp Patriarch, more and more ninjas were timid. Luhan had used Shikatsumyaku, dead bone pulse, several times before, and his clothes were already riddled with holes. After another quick attack, the clothes cracked in the high-speed movement. Luhan's body was called lean. The muscles are angular and full of power. Of course, no one cared about Luhan's figure at this time, what they cared about. Or someone with a heart has already seen that there is no scar on Lu Han's body. Even the terrifying wound on the neck that was split has healed. His wound is healed. Why is this happening? Han Guang is not afraid of getting hurt. The straw that broke the camel's back appeared. After the noise, there is an unstoppable flight. In the beginning, dozens of people stayed away from Lu Han and fled far away, and the atmosphere spread rapidly, becoming hundreds, thousands. Lu Han's opponents became fewer and fewer until no one dared to attack Lu Han, and all the Kurigakure ninjas fled wherever Lu Han passed. In fact, there are still some ninjas who dare to fight with Lu Han. For revenge, they are no longer afraid of death, but this small group of people are not fools. They rushed to Lu Han alone to seek death. Follow and hide. Lu Han didn't expect this to happen. The insight map showed that there should be more than 1,800 ninjas in the village of Kurigakure still alive in the enchantment. If the serious injuries were removed, there should also be 1,200 or 300 people who could fight. In 6 or 7 ninja brigade. There are only so many people in a small army. Did they dare not fight? If people start to be afraid, it is very difficult to reverse their mentality. Not to mention that there are still 1,200 or 300 combat power, even if there are 4,000 or 5,000, as long as the situation of rout occurs, no one will dare to touch Lu Han's edge again. Lu Han stopped, stepped on the blood-penetrated ground, and looked around. There were corpses all over the ground, and those Kurigakure ninjas who could still run, all ran to a place far away from Lu Han. The enchantment area is very large. Big, so they can distance themselves from Lu Han. Lu Han looked up at the enchantment hood again, a light flashed in his eyes, and he had an idea in his heart. Disappear. Appear. Lu Han appeared again from the gathered Kurigakure ninjas, and at the same time entered a state of anger and blood, and began a bloody slaughter. When they were killed, they screamed, and fled in embarrassment. Lu Han chased and killed all the way. In fact, it was more like driving them away, making them approach the edge of the barrier. Finally, the Kurigakure ninjas started to attack the barrier actively. They have realized that if the barrier is not broken, the cold light can't get out, and they can't get out, and they will be the ones who will die. More and more Kurigakure ninjas took the initiative to attack the barrier, and hundreds of thousands of attack ninjutsu hit the barrier. After just half a minute, the barrier shattered. Kurigakure ninjas scattered. Lu Han sensed the Hiraishin kunai placed outside Kurigakure village, but he did not leave immediately, but started to attack the main buildings in Kurigakure village. After smashing it, he disappeared completely in the village of Kurigakure without a trace. It wasn't until half an hour after Lu Han left that more than 3,000 ninjas from the first main battle army of Kurigakure returned in a hurry. Chapter 0664-1 person kills 3,000 ninja. After the war, the village of Kurigakure was full of devastation. Although the sound of fighting had disappeared for a long time, tens of thousands of civilians in Kurigakure still dared not leave their homes. Today, the chief commander of the first main battle legion of Kurigakure is named Haizanyang. He is nearly 50 years old. His strength is not inferior to the ghosts, and his seniority is very high. Although he is from a small clan, he is the nephew of the first generation of Mizukage. Haizanyang returned with the army and looked at the Kurigakure village after the war. He couldn't believe what he saw was real. Before Kurigakure there was a civil strife. Nearly 2,000 ninjas fought each other and spread to the entire Kurigakure village. Later, Lu Han killed 3,000 Kurigakure ninjas near the treasure house, and finally destroyed the main buildings of Kurigakure. As a result, the village of Kurigakure looked as if it had been attacked. Konoha was attacked before, and half of the village was completely destroyed. Kurigakure was not so serious, but buildings in the entire village were destroyed. Although the civilian areas were not affected, the buildings in the civilian areas were mostly low-rise wooden houses. Stone houses, and the main buildings destroyed by Lu Han were all towers and stone buildings. So at first glance, the village of Kurigakure is extremely damaged. Kurigakure ninjas who had been frightened by Lu Han before gathered quickly. Hai Zanyang heard them talk a lot, and immediately rushed to the vicinity of the treasure house, looking at the corpses on the ground, the sea and the sea. Zanyang is furious. Who is it? Who are they? We Kurigakure didn't even participate in the ninja war. Who will attack us? Master. It's Han Guang. It's him. He killed Master Boiling Yu. I know Han Guang. I ask who else? Only Han Guang. He was the only one who killed Master Boiling Yu, as well as Ghost Lantern Ghost and Master. He killed them all. Nonsense. Can Han Guang attack our village of Kurigakure alone? Hai Zanyang scolded, like a mad lion. Come on. Is it the Ghost and the two bastards fighting for power with Boyu? Say it. It was really Han Guang who did it. Although Lord Boiling Yu and Ghost and Lord have fought against each other, they were all afraid of smashing the village, so they went outside to fight, but they were all killed by Han Guang. Nian the elite Jonin in his 40s was trembling in front of the furious Hai Zanyang. It's Han Guang, this damn guy. He also robbed our treasure house, and I don't know how many things he took away. He definitely didn't take much with him, and he couldn't put anything on him, but he killed several adults who guarded the treasure house. Han Guang is so powerful that even Lord Hadu was killed by him. Lord Yuyushin also died in his hands. There was a large group of people around Hai Zanyang. The mess was like 800 ducks were quacking. Hai Zanyang's face became more and more ugly. For some reason, there was still a trace of happiness in his heart, and he was glad that he came back late, otherwise, he might have died in the hands of Han Guang. He immediately shook his head again, throwing away the fortunate thought, but his eyes were a little horrified. Han Guang, Hanuang, is it really you? You came to attack the village of Kurigakure alone. Are you really invincible? The defense in the village is empty. Immediately notify the 2nd and 3rd Main Battle Corps to return to the village, and summon. Convene ninjas at the commander level and above to hold a meeting at the Mizukage building. Hai Zanyang repeatedly instructed. Sir, the Mizukage building is destroyed. Someone on the side reminded cautiously. Then, come here. Hurry up and inform. Hai Zanyang's face was as black as carbon. Originally, it was not Hazen's turn to issue orders from Kurigakure village, but now Kurigakure has been defeated, and all the strong players have died in battle, including Boyu, Gaidong Guihei, Gaidong Patriarch and other highly prestigious powerhouses all died at the hands of Han Guang. Hazen the return of Yang with the Legion is tantamount to giving those Kurigakure ninjas who have suffered a defeat a booster, and they naturally follow Hazen Yang's lead. By the way, it is worth mentioning that the few resourceful but weak advisors in Kurigakure village were all die-hard cronies of Ghost Lantern Moon. Boiling Rain inherited their loyalty to Ghost Lantern Moon, and the first civil unrest in Kurigakure. At that time, Boiling Yu was defeated and fled, and several advisors were caught by Ghost Lamp Ghosts and locked in the dungeon. And all the people in the dungeon died at the hands of Lu Han. 5 days later, Kurigakure's 2nd Main Battle Corps and the 3rd Main Battle Legion's Pioneer Brigade returned to Kurigakure village one after another. The number of ninjas in Kurigakure village suddenly swelled to more than 8,000 people. Troops return soon. In the past 5 days, the incident of Kurigakure's attack spread like wind throughout the entire ninja world. Originally, Kurigakure was closed, and the news would not spread so fast, but someone was behind it. For a while, the entire ninja world was in an uproar. Han Guang entered Kurigakure alone, killing more than 10 strong people, and one person killed 3,000 ninjas. The legend of Han Guang began to spread throughout the ninja world, and the more it spread, the more mysterious, and the strength of Han Guang became more and more unpredictable in the rumors. And it was on the afternoon of the 5th day after the Battle of Kurigakure that a piece of bad news reached Kurigakure, causing a shock. A day ago, Konoha Han Guang appeared in Damingfu, the land of water, and forced his way into the treasure house of Damingfu, defeated the 2 teams of ninjas stationed in the treasure house of Damingfu by Kurigakure, and robbed half of the money of Damingfu. As for how Han Guang knew the location of the treasure house of Damingfu, no way to know. This is not the most important thing. After all, Han Guang has only robbed half of it. Although the Daming Palace suffered heavy losses, it will not lose its fundamental rule over the mortal world. The key is that there are surviving ninjas in the treasure trove who say that Han Guang has the means to destroy a lot of items, which is suspected to be a different space ninjutsu. Lu Han has also entered the Kurigakure treasure house. But until now, Kurigakure didn't know what was missing from the treasury, because the mountain above the treasury collapsed and buried the treasury, and it has not been cleared. News! Haizanyang's eyes suddenly became Yuhi's eyes. He rushed to the bottom of the collapsed mountain and arranged for ninjas to quickly clean it up. His whole body was trembling. Falling apart and without money, Kurigakure will not be able to come up with even the most basic death ninja pension. Chapter 0665-Fufeng. The speed of the ninja cleanup was very fast, and Haizanyang devoted thousands of ninjas to clean up at a time, and it was even faster. In just 2 hours, the sky was just a little dark, and the Kurigakure ninjas cleaned up the ruins of the stone mountain and opened up a passage connecting the underground hall. The real treasure house of Kurigakure, the small cave with a lot of treasures, was sealed and fortified, so although the mountain above collapsed, the treasure house did not collapse. The sea burial used to bring people into the treasure house, but it made him despair. Gone, gone. Can't see the gold, I can't see the silver, only the most worthless copper is left, all those jewels are gone, and the shelves with ninjutsu, esoteric, and forbidden technique scrolls are good, everything is on it, but those what's the use of something? There are tens of thousands of ninjas in Kurigakure. They prepare for war all the year round. They do not produce or work. The daily cost of food and drink is an astronomical figure. Equipment supplies, medical supplies, death pensions, and military awards all require money. Ninjas are also human beings, and they also have to live. They can't be eaten by their enemies, and no one wants to drink the northwest wind. Haizanyang thought of many consequences. No money is more terrible than anything, there is no free lunch in this world, and no one will sacrifice their lives for anyone in vain. Following Haizanyang into the treasure trove, there are also a group of high-level people in Kurigakure today. They say they are high-level people. In fact, their status in the previous Kurigakure can only be regarded as second class. If it wasn't because the first class died too many, they didn't qualify to enter the treasury. Haizanyang turned his head suddenly, and looked at the middle-aged man beside him with red eyes. Ghost Lantern Diagram, the acting patriarch who was hastily selected within the Ghost Lantern clan. Haizanyang's face was very scary. Ghost Lantern didn't understand why Haizanyang looked at him like this. He was very nervous, but fortunately Haizanyang looked away again and looked at the next person. At present, the group of ninjas around Haizanyang almost all have the identity of the chiefs or talkers of the major tribes of Kurigakure. Money. The village needs money. Go back and prepare immediately. Haizanyang said in a strong and excited tone after looking around. Every family will take out the money and add it to the village. Shut up, I know you, what are you trying to say? I'm not discussing with you, this is an order. Take the money. Haizanyang wants to forcibly expropriate the family wealth of various tribes. This is not the way to do it. It is the only way to solve the current problem. Haizanyang is ready to suppress it by force. In order not to let Kurigakure fall apart, he would rather let the Kurigakure civil unrest one more time. Night. Kurigakure is still brightly lit and noisy. The tribes quarreled endlessly about how much money to pay, and almost all of them put forward conditions to fight for their own tribe's benefits. The Ghost Lantern tribe was still the largest tribe and was asked to pay the most share of the money. For this reason, Haizanyang even promised that in the future when Mizukage is elected, he will definitely be on the side of the Ghost Lantern clan. Of course, all this has nothing to do with Lu Han. At this time, Lu Han has left the main island of the water country, arrived at the West Island, and is about to return to the country of Vortex. Late at night. The full moon hangs high, the waves on the sea rise and fall, and a brightly lit merchant ship rides the wind and waves, heading straight for the country of vortexes. Since the country of water began to implement the lock-off policy, the village of Kurigakure and the daimyo prefecture of the country of water gave up control over many offshore islands, because there were too many small islands and were too scattered, which was not conducive to management, and there was no loss in temporarily abandoning them. Xilang Island is a small island that was abandoned and controlled by the Land of Water, because the island is large enough and has a natural deep water port. In the past few years, some businessmen have established a wharf and a small town on Xilang Island, base for deep-sea fishing and ocean-going trade. The merchant ship Fufeng is the largest merchant ship of the Xilang Island Chamber of Commerce. It only set sail from Xilang Island after nightfall. Relying on the monsoon, it is expected to reach the country of Vortex in 3 days. Inside Fufeng, in a locked guest room, Lu Han, in a black robe, lay on his back, with his hands on the back of his head, tilted his head and looked at the full moon outside the round window. After running for several days in a row, Lu Han rarely rests. The affairs of the water country are over, and he is even more relaxed, and his heart is like an arrow. But tonight was a bit special, so he didn't rush to run at sea, but got on a merchant ship to keep his spirits up. Tsunade should have returned to Konoha. I don't know if Sarutobi Hiruzen has returned. This guy should not die so easily. If he is really in the country of Vortex, should I look for him? He is Yuhi's name. Am I helping him, or? Uchiha Madara must be pissed off. I wanted to support Boyu as a puppet and control Kurigakure village, but I killed Boyu. He invested so many people to help Boyu, but he got this result, very unwilling. But having said that, once the story of Kurigakure village spreads, it may be regarded as an opportunity by other forces. Once they plan to attack the country of water and pull Kurigakure into the War of Ninja World, the world of Ninja World will become more chaotic, but it will make Uchiha Madara happy. Rui. We still have to solve the black market first. Getting rid of the black market is equivalent to breaking one of Uchiha Madara's arms and breaking his fortune. Will he go mad? Lu Han thought about a lot of things. As his entanglement with this world deepened, his concerns became more and more, his status became higher and higher, and Lu Han had to think about more things. In fact, compared with Uchiha Madara, Lu Han is more concerned about whether he can rely on the robbery of the Kurigakure treasure house to become Hokage. After all, one's power is limited, and if he becomes Hokage, he can use the power of the entire Konoha village. Lu Han can subvert the world more easily. The word subversion is very interesting. Ruling the world can be called subversion, changing the structure of the world is subversion, and preventing Kagaya-Heim's resurrection can also be called subversion. As for what to do, Lu Han needs to figure it out himself. In fact, even if Lu Han is not a Hokage, he can subvert the world, as long as he becomes strong enough. Time passed, and the early hours of the morning came unknowingly. Lu Han lay on the soft collapse without moving, and slowly closed his eyes. At midnight, Lu Han's body was illusory for a moment, then solidified. Chapter 0666-Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Disruptor space, as always, has never changed. Lu Han strode out from the cracked ball of light, turned around and said, "Exchange for Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan." He didn't need to look to know the price of Eternal Mangekyo. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. 1500 ingots are required for exchange. Precondition: Mangekyo Sharingan is turned on. Exchange. The subversion messenger's voice resounded through the space. It was strange that the exchange took so long this time. Lu Han could only understand that Mangekyo Sharingan was too advanced, so the exchange was slow. Dun Keke Genkei, which is born with strong vitality and huge body energy, although it is also worth 1,500 ingots, it is not as complicated as the Eternal Mangekyo. Starting from the single Tomo Sharingan, it has been promoted to the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It can be said that there are many barriers. One step at a time. Let's talk about the body of a fairy. From the original work, the ninja Senju Hashirama who must have the body of a fairy, and the ninjas who are suspected to have the body of a fairy, Uzumaki Naruto, Tsunade, etc., they all have one. Most other ninjas have no advantage, then it's a huge amount of chakra. You must know that chakra comes from mental energy and physical energy, which can be explained by the easy-to-understand word, extraction. Mental energy is extracted from physical energy and converted into chakra. The larger the physical energy base, the stronger the physical energy. Under the same mental energy, more chakra can naturally be extracted. Having the body of an immortal is equivalent to being born with a very solid foundation, and there is nothing complicated. Therefore, although the existence of the immortal body is simple, it is extremely expensive, worth 1,500 ingots, but it does not have the high level that comes from the eternal Mangekyo. Comparison: Sharingan's promotion has opportunities, and if you want to be promoted with a sage body, you rely more on talent. Senjuhashirama's ultimate self-healing and Mokuten wood style secret techniques are all based on sage body. It seems that only the stunning and talented Senjuhashirama in the original works fully utilizes the potential of the immortal body. The powerful vitality of the body is brought into the ultimate. Tsunade can develop a self-healing forbidden technique, which seems to be related to the body of a fairy, but because many things are not stated in the original work, Tsunade has been to the cultivation place again, so she must have a fairy. The body of Kekkei Genkei cannot be determined. I wonder if I can create Mokuten wood style. Luhan thought of this question again. Based on the principle of saving, if he could create it himself, he would naturally not exchange it. Exchange completed. The subversive messenger finally responded. At the same time, Luhan felt tingling in his eyes, and almost screamed out. It turned out to be a feeling that his eyes were going to be gouged out. Normal way to get the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is to transplant the blood-relative Mangekyo Sharingan when you have the Mangekyo Sharingan. I don't know if the sting at this time is because of this. Luhan never said a word. After a while, the pain subsided, and then a cool feeling appeared again. Luhan's vision changed again because of this, and he seemed to see things more clearly. Unfortunately, the space here is too small to take a look. Luhan wanted to know what level of Susanoo he could summon, but it was not appropriate to do so in the subversive space now. View ingots. At Kurigakure, Luhan counted his gains, and the trophies exceeded his imagination. It is worth noting that Luhan won 2 first kills at the same time, both of which were the first kills of level 60 gold bosses. This is a very special situation. Luhan must kill 2 ninjas with the same strength rating at the same time, in order to get double first kills, and at the same time. It is exactly the same, not even 0.01 seconds away. In fact, every level of boss can be killed with 2 heads, or even 3 heads, but this is obviously not something Luhan can take the initiative to grasp. At the same time, use Kaden fire style to attack 2 bosses of the same level. They usually die one after the other. Maybe the time of death is only 1 second, or even 0.1 second, so they can't get a double kill, because there is a front and a back, not at the same time. Starting from bronze boss, up to level 60 white silver, plus level 70 bronze, various levels of ninja boss, including diamond boss, there are a total of 20 types. Luhan has never won a double first kill. Kill a level 60 gold boss and get a double first kill. The direct reward of the first kill is an increase in the explosion rate, which means that the probability of the boiling rain and the ghost lamp ghost and the explosion reward is the same, but the number is different, because the number of masters of the 2 is different. In total, the items that Luhan obtained from Boyu was worth nearly 800 ingots, while Gaidongguihe only got 600 ingots. In addition to the dungeon slaughter, the killing of the single ninja, and the bloody battle on Treasure Mountain, Luhan obtained nearly 2,300 ingots in Kurigakure village. Now, Luhan still has more than 1,900 ingots left on his body. When Luhan was checking his ingots, he remembered that he seemed to have made a mistake. I forgot to unlock more advanced exchange items. Before spending 1,500 ingots, the total number of ingots on his body was already more than 3,400, but he was too impatient after entering the subversive space. Forget it, no matter what is unlocked, I will definitely exchange the Eternal Mangekyo first. Even if the Rinnegan is released, I am afraid there must be Eternal Mangekyo as a precondition. Luhan comforted himself a few words, and immediately added, "Check it out. Whole body activation exchange price." Quote. No body activation exchange items were found. The subversion messenger's answer was like pouring cold water on Luhan. "No, are you kidding me? Even Mangekyo has this one." "Check again." "Not really." "Wait." Luhan suddenly reacted, frowning and thinking for a while. He suddenly remembered that the activation of the whole body is the effect, not the name of the technique. Said, "Not quite sure. Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode, this." "Call." The ball of light shot out 3 rays of light, which condensed into 3 exchange boxes in front of Luhan. Chapter-661-680 Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. Primary Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. The exchange price is 70 ingots. Intermediate Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. The exchange price is 200 ingots. Advanced Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. The exchange price is 600 ingots. The same technique has 3 levels, and the difficulty of cultivation is not marked, which is very unique. Cultivation difficulty. No, Luhan asked in surprise. Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode, strictly speaking, is not a technique, but a special way of using chakra. Nature transformation and morphological changes are not clear, and Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode, it is not difficult to get started with practice. For example, you can only gather Raiden Thunder style, chakra in a local area, and the difficulty of practice is only between grades B and A. Maybe if you can use Raiden Thunder style, chakra on the whole body, and you can perform ninjutsu based on this, and the difficulty of practice will rise to S, so this ability is difficult to divide the difficulty level. Quote. This way. Luhan nodded, looking like he understood. In fact, it doesn't matter whether he understands or not, there is no need to delve into it. Speaking of Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode, there are many similarities with Taiju Strange Power. They all focus on the use of chakra, but the difference is that Taiju Strange Power is improved in a single direction, and the way it should be is relatively simple, so it is easy to divide. However, the Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode is very complicated to use. The practice difficulty of the former method may be B level, and the latter may be S level. So, what do you mean by beginner, intermediate, and advanced? Luhan asked again. Subversive 3665 can be understood as partial use, whole body use, and comprehensive use. Each use method can continuously improve the level and power, so the division is made. Well, is there such a division in the Hokage world, junior, intermediate, and so on? No, they will choose a branch direction of the Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode as the training target according to their talents. For example, if they are generally gifted, they will choose to use partial practice and continue to practice in this direction. Cultivation may have been unable to successfully cultivate due to lack of talent, wasting time. Quote. Understood. Luhan nodded. Exchange for the advanced Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. Exchange completed. The scroll appeared in Luhan's space backpack. After deducting 600 ingots, he still had 1,366 ingots left. No need to ask, whether it is Lao-I or Shao-I, they can definitely use Raiden Thunder style to go chakra mode. If Luhan wants to have a physical defense similar to theirs, he will naturally have to exchange for advanced ones. While taking out the scroll, Luhan asked again, the upper limit of the Hokage world is LV6, and I am LV9. This rule also applies to the Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. Applicable, but you have to remind the subversive 3665, because the Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode is special. Once the subversive breaks the limit and has the Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode ability of LV7 or above, the consumption of chakra will be greatly increase. It's fine to apply, Luhan replied, ignoring the words behind the subversion messenger. Unrolling the scroll, Luhan shuddered, feeling like he was overcharged, and some information appeared in his mind. Boom! Burst into breath, and a feeling of exploding filled Luhan's body. Blue thunder and lightning lingered all over his body, and then the blue light covered his whole body. Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode. Luhan moved his hands and feet at will, and then released the state. It was the same problem. The space was too small for him to use it. Exchange for 2 more Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode scrolls. Luhan bit Kiba and said. Fight. Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode can be said to be a life-saving magic technique, comparable to absolute defense. Lao Ai is in his prime. It is estimated that this ability has reached LV6 level. If Luhan only has LV1, he does not know how to compare with Lao Ai. How much worse the defense is. Exchanged 2 more scrolls, used them up, and Luhan's Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode reached LV3. Back to before liberation overnight. Luhan still had 166 ingots left. I'm afraid there is a huge gap between LV3 and Lao Ai. If the defense is not as good as Susanoo's first stage, then it's not a free exchange. Luhan thought about it and took out an item from his space backpack. This is a ring, white as jade, but it has a metallic texture, and the texture is crystal clear. It doesn't look like anything. The Lord of Isolation Ring. Wearing this ring can isolate breath, energy fluctuations, incantation induction, chakra perception. No conditions for use, just wear it. The night after the Battle of Kurigakure, Luhan found this ring in his space backpack. It was neither a ninja tool nor a drop reward. Luhan didn't know where it came from. The elf told him that it was a double ring. First kill reward. Completing the double first kill will give you a special reward. Luhan completed it for the first time and obtained this isolation ring. The effect of the ring sounds complicated, but it can also be explained very simply, that is, to isolate all inductions. For example, Luhan used the technique of concealment to prevent himself from being sensed by boiling rain. If he had the magic ring of isolation at that time, he would not need to use the technique of concealment, and boiling you could not feel the chakra fluctuations on him. Another example, when Luhan was cursed by Danzo, then his mother curse broke the limit, and instead controlled the curse on Danzo. If there is this ring, if it is on Luhan, then Danzo curses Luhan. The seal is useless, it will be isolated by the ring. This ring seems to be able to establish an isolation barrier that is close to a different space, a purely auxiliary effect. In fact, this ring is a bit tasteless to Luhan. It can be used too rarely. Most of it is used to isolate the breath, but Luhan has a secret technique. This, how much is it worth? Luhan asked hesitantly. He once tried to put the ring near the recycling Uzumaki, but it did not show the recycling price. This thing could not be purchased in the ingot exchange item, just like the Lord of Magic rings. It cannot be recycled, replied the subversive messenger. This way, Luhan breathed a sigh of relief, but it didn't make him embarrassed. There is no need to hurry to improve the Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode. Luhan suddenly thought of a question. Can this ring be given away? Chapter-661-680 worries. It can be given to others to wear. The subversive messenger replied very formally. However, Luhan suddenly realized that his question was a bit stupid. This kind of thing can naturally be given away, but it is one thing for other people to wear it, and whether it can produce an effect is another. Effect? I said effect. Do other people wear it too? Yes. Okay. Luhan smiled, in a good mood. This ring will solve his long-standing heart disease. Late at night. After Luhan left the subversive space, he immediately left the ship. On the endless sea, the night was thick, the salty sea breeze was whistling. Luhan appeared on the sea, stepped on the waves, and ran wildly in the direction of the country of Vortex. The speed quickly reached ultimate, and there was almost no shadow. During the rush, he turned on the Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode, performed the lightning flash, and the speed suddenly increased. Too fast. It can even be comparable to the speed of the blood-boiling state, and he cannot perform ninjutsu in the angry blood state, but he can in the Raiden Thunder-style Chakra Mode. However, the boiling of anger can not only improve Luhan's speed, but also improve Luhan's neural reaction speed, combat prediction ability, etc., and the speed of knife attack will be faster. This is not something that Raiden Thunder-style chakra mode can do. Then, 2 days later, Luhan entered the country of fire. The land of thunder, Kumogakure village, Raikage office. With the sound of bang, Xiao Ai, who was stubborn, slammed into the door angrily, and walked quickly to the desk. Father, why do you want to suspend the attack on Konoha? The boy is ready. This matter is not for everyone. Did it pass by a high vote at the meeting? Lao Ai raised his head expressionlessly, put down the pen that marked the scroll, clasped his hands together, and said solemnly, you know about Hongguang, right? Of course, they are all saying that Hongguang attacked Konoha alone and retreated completely. The ninjas in Kurigakure were scared to death by him. Those useless cowards. Xiao Ai was full of indignation. No way killing a few people. He can, so can I, they can't even break through my defenses. It's not a real skill to take advantage of the internal turmoil in Kurigakure. Xiao Ai can be said to be full of resentment. He knew that he was not as good as Lu Han, but he was still stubborn. He was punched away by Lu Han that day, and he has become a laughingstock in the village, especially his elders, who he has to call uncle and uncle. Ninja, he said he was over his head, but he didn't dare to refute it. At present, we don't have accurate information on Hongguang's strength, so I decided to suspend the action. Lao Ai said. Father, are you afraid? Are you afraid of the cold light? Xiao Ai said in disbelief. Do you think Hongguang can defeat me? Lao Ai asked back. Of course not, Xiao Ai said immediately, saying with great certainty, Sir Father will never be defeated. Not to mention thousands, even tens of thousands, are not the opponents of Lord Father, and Hongguang is still far behind. That's it, why do you think I'm afraid of him? Lao Ai said, staring. Xiao Ai suddenly felt guilty, lowered his head and said, my child is wrong. But, since my father is not afraid of the cold, why did he cancel the action because of him? Because he is an extra person. Lao Ai said, and immediately explained the sentence. We thought that Konoha lost Sarutobi Hiruzen. Without Sarutobi Hiruzen, his role is irreplaceable, so we can go attacking the country of fire, but now it seems Hongguang's role in Konoha is no less than Sarutobi Hiruzen, and even his role is greater and more terrifying than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't like killing, but he is a fighting maniac. I have to admit that Hongguang's strength is enough to be on an equal footing with me, and we can contain each other, but in this way, how much advantage do we have in Kumogakure? If we can't give our Kurigakure son a big advantage, is it necessary to attack the country of fire? Xiao Ai listened thoughtfully, but was still unwilling. That's it, stop fighting. No, not sure yet, I'm waiting for news. There are 3 things that have to be confirmed. What's the matter? 3. Yes, 3 things, Lao Ai said clearly. First, accurate information on Hongguang's strength. It is best to have accurate information on his abilities. And second, we have to wait for news from Sarutobi Hiruzen. If Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly returns Konoha, and by that time we were already in the land of fire, it would be a disaster, you know. Third, depending on what Sunagakure, Megakure decide, I have sent people to contact them. Quote. The incident of Hongguang breaking Kurigakure alone has caused a sensation in the entire ninja world. Sunagakure and Megakure originally planned to attack the land of fire. After hearing this, like us, all actions were put on hold. You should understand that a peerless the role of the strong in the war. Senju Hashirama decades ago is the best example. Uchiha Madara was also a strong man who could be a god, but was suppressed by Senju Hashirama for a lifetime. Xiao Ai left unhappily. After all, he was still a young man, and his mind would become hot. He was beaten by Lu Han with a punch. He wanted to get back to the scene. Of course, Lao Ai can't be as hot-headed as his son. Although he is recognized as the strongest martial artist in the ninja world, the attack on the land of the earth is the war he started, but the war is not a child's play. Now he has to consider whether it is necessary to completely fight with Konoha. If you turn your face and enter the country of fire, but the war is frustrated, and the village of Iwagakure in the land of earth will take advantage of the situation, and the village of Kumogakure will fight on two fronts. Can you handle it? When Xiao Ai walked out, Lao Ai picked up the pen and looked down at the scroll. When Xiao Ai went out, he dropped the pen again and looked at the office door. Looking worried. Although he said a lot to his son, there was one thing he didn't make clear. It was also his biggest worry, something everyone knew, but if he thought about it deeply, it would make people shudder. This question is, Han Guang is 17 years old. He is only 17. What if Lei village wins now? As long as Han Guang doesn't die, he will definitely make a comeback in a few years. At that time, how far will his strength grow? Now there are rumors in the outside world that Han Guang is the new god of ninjas, and that he is the god of killing in the ninja world. Lao Ai felt that Han Guang's current strength should not be comparable to the original Senju Hashirama, but what about in a few years? Chapter 0669 _ The Return of Cold Light. Konoha, nearly half a month has passed since the last battle he was attacked. The time for ninjas to build a village is extremely fast, but it is also a lot of work to build a building complex covering an area of several square kilometers. At this time, it can be seen that there are busy ninjas everywhere in Konoha village, and many civilians have also joined the labor team. However, their abilities are limited, and they can only do some tricky work, and 10 civilians are not as efficient as one genin. The sentry tower at the west gate was the first to be built, with ninjas standing guard on it. Call. Lu Han appeared out of thin air and appeared in the guardrail of the sentry tower. The young ninja in charge of the sentry tower was alert at first, and then he reacted, seeing who was coming in front of him, and quickly knelt down on one knee. See Lord Hangguang. The young ninja looked extremely excited, and looked at Lu Han even a little frantically. Well, don't mind me, stick to your post. Lu Han said. Yes, okay, Lord Hangguang, I will definitely stick to my post. I will always be here. The young ninja was a little reluctant to say anything, and he was so nervous that he couldn't speak. Lu Han smiled and patted the young ninja on the shoulder. Needless to say, I understand, work hard. Yes, yes, the young ninja nodded excitedly. Konoha village, which was being rebuilt. On the west side of Konoha village, thousands of new houses had been built. It looks like preliminary construction is complete, but it's nowhere near complete. Many seemingly unimportant and detailed things take more time to complete, such as decoration. The insight map shows that the 2 green dots are both in the mansion in the forest, both at home. Lu Han is not in a hurry to go back. They are all in Konoha village, and he is not in a hurry at this time. If necessary, Lu Han must show enough close to the people and lay a solid foundation for the top Hokage. Lu Han appeared on the street under construction and walked around to take a look. Lord Hangguang, you're back. I don't know who screamed, which startled Lu Han, and the whole street was fried. The busy ninjas and civilians all temporarily put down their work. Some of them greeted Lu Han loudly, as if trying to attract Lu Han's attention, while others ran to Lu Han's side, not knowing what to say. Lu Han breaking Kurigakure by himself has already spread in Konoha village, and an argument has been formed that the reason why Lord Hangguang did this is to divert the focus and to divert the attention of other forces in the ninja world to Kurigakure village, reducing the chance of Konoha being attacked again. If it was said that Konoha ninjas were in awe of Lu Han before, then now, some people have begun to worship him fervently. Kurigakure alone, with one enemy 3,000, makes one's blood boil. Lord Hangguang, are you going to the land of water? Lord Hangguang, accept me as a disciple. Lord Hangguang, thank you. Thank you. Some people are talking excitedly, some people are kneeling, some people are kowtowing. There was some confusion, and Lu Han didn't expect this to happen, because he was on the road these days, and he didn't come into contact with much information about himself, nor did he know how the outside world is rumored. After a while, Lu Han asked them to work hard, encourage them, and then disappeared on the street. Afterwards, Lu Han walked several new blocks and encountered the same situation as in the first block, but he also received a cold reception, mainly because some blocks had more civilians. The response of civilians was more than ninjas are a lot more indifferent, mainly because, to commoners, even Chunin is a great ninja-sama, and Jonin is already considered a high-ranking person. As for Lu Han, they cannot understand. The Ninja World War has been fought for several years, and Konoha has won and lost, such as White Fang, Tsunade, etc. Their deeds on the battlefield are already legends to the vast majority of civilians, and the deeds of Hangguang are also legends. I can't tell the difference between legends and legends, let alone what far-reaching influence Lu Han's so-called Inkarigakure has. Of Lu Han's return quickly reached the ears of senior Konoha ninjas. When Hatake Sakumo arrived at the new area, Lu Han had already left, and then Hyuga Huyang also came, but Lu Han was not found. In the mansion in the forest, there are 2 newly decorated flower beds in the courtyard. Yuhi yellow flowers are very beautiful. Hyuga Luo Ning is watering the flowers with a water bottle. She looks very haggard, and she is much weaker now than she used to be unruly. Recently, Hyuga Luo Ning often had nightmares and would cry bitterly after waking up in the middle of the night. After Tsunade came back, he learned about Hyuga Luo Ning's condition, and knew that Hyuga Luo Ning had a heart disease, and psychological trauma was the worst cure. While complaining that Lu Han didn't accompany Hyuga Luo Ning well, Tsunade came up with a way to grow flowers. Nothing more than to find something to do for Hyuga Luo Ning, to distract her and let her stop thinking about it during the day. After a long time, she will naturally forget the pain of that day. Do you miss me? A warm voice appeared in Hyuga Luo Ning's ear, and Lu Han, who appeared silently, hugged Hyuga Luo Ning from behind. Hyuga Luo Ning suddenly shivered, threw away the water bottle, turned around and nestled in Lu Han's arms, hugged Lu Han's waist, and whispered back, "I think about it." Then she burst into tears. Cold. Feeling that Lu Han came back, Tsunade hurried out from the practice ground not far away, and cried out in excitement. Lu Han held Hyuga Luo Ning in one hand and waved to Tsunade. Tsunade quickly ran to Lu Han's side and was hugged by Lu Han. Lu Han kissed her on the forehead again. For a while, the ears rubbed together. 3 returned to the house. Tsunade beckoned to pull Hyuga Luo Ning to cook lunch with Lu Han. Lu Han signaled her to stay busy, then took out a ring from the space backpack and held up Hyuga Luo Ning's little hand, put it on her. "It's for you, do you like it?" Lu Han asked. Hyuga Luo Ning's excited face, Yuhi, fluttered, and kept nodding. "I like it, I really like it." At the same time, in another part of Konoha village, Hyuga Huyang's face changed drastically, while he was walking with Hatake Taishuo. He couldn't feel Hyuga Luo Ning anymore. Chapter 0670_problem occurs. Hyuga Huyang is the patriarch of Main Clan and is the real ruler of the Hyuga family. Following the ancient rules of rule, the foreheads of the ninjas of the Hyuga branch will be marked with a curse mark. Main Clan can rely on the curse mark master to live and die. You can also sense the malice from the branch ninjas through that curse mark. Hyuga Luo Ning is a branch ninja with a curse mark on his forehead. However, just a moment ago, Hyuga Huyang suddenly couldn't feel the existence of the curse mark. Generally, there is only one possibility for this situation, that is, she died. No, something happened. Hyuga Huyang shouted anxiously, turning into a shadow and leaving. Hatake Taishuo, who was talking to Hyuga Huyang, was stunned for a moment, and then he became a glimpse, and followed in the footsteps of Hyuga Huyang. He is not weaker than Hyuga Huyang, and he is also a taijutsu ninja. A mansion in the forest. Hyuga Luo Ning was stunned by Lu Han's coaxed face, and happily kissed Lu Han. Lu Han rarely gave his wife gifts. In this regard, he is not a romantic man. This is the first time of Hyuga Luo Ning. Once I got a jewelry gift from Lu Han, or something as meaningful as a ring. Hyuga Luo Ning's heart was full of sweetness. She felt that Lu Han didn't give it to Tsunade first, but gave it to herself. Naturally, she loved her more. Tsunade watched eagerly, waiting for Lu Han to bring out the gift, but Lu Han didn't do it. Instead, he kept in touch with Hyuga Luo Ning. Tsunade pouted his mouth very much, snorted coldly, and turned to walk towards kitchen. Angry. In fact, Tsunade rarely gets angry, because she is much older than Luhan and Hyuga Luoning. In life, she always takes care of them, but Luhan gives Hyuga Luoning a gift, not her. She's still hard to accept. Luhan noticed Tsunade's cold snort and saw Tsunade angrily walk away. He was stunned before he realized it. He patted his forehead and cursed himself for being a pig's brain. In fact, what he gave to Hyuga Luoning was not a gift for returning from a long absence. That's the ring of isolation. Luhan's heart disease for a long time lies in Hyuga Luoning. She is a ninja from the Hyuga branch, and the master of life and death is in the hands of Hyuga main clan. When Sarutobi Hiruzen decided to let Luhan marry Hyuga Luoning, she had no good intentions and hoped to control Hyuga by controlling her. Luoning, to achieve the purpose of controlling or restricting Luhan. Luhan naturally didn't want his wife's life master to be in the hands of others, but he couldn't do anything before. The curse mark of the Hyuga family would hit the soul directly. Even if he died, it would not disappear. He resurrected the Hyuga branch ninja, and put it on his forehead. There will still be the curse mark. Isolate the Lord of the Rings, you can solve this problem from another Kakuzu. The curse mark can't be removed, it's just isolation, and if you can't sense it, you can't control it. Sister, she seems to be angry. Hyuga Luoning said in a low voice, women are always sensitive. I know, Luhan whispered back, then he opened the space quilt, immersed himself in it, and rummaged inside. He robbed the treasure house of Kurigakure, and the treasure house of the daimyo of the Land of Water. The space backpack was almost full, and he didn't know how much gold silver jewelry was. Call underscore. Call underscore. There were two whistling sounds outside the door. Luhan immediately recovered his attention, turned around and looked out. The door was open, his eyes shone into the hall, and two figures stopped at the gate of the main building one after another, blocking some sunlight. Hyuga Tiger Young. Hataki Tai Shuo. Luhan saw Hyuga Huyang coming. He immediately understood that he lost his sense of the curse mark on Hyuga Luoning's body, so he hurried over. Hataki Tai Shuo naturally came with him. Teacher, you are back. Hataki Tai Shuo, who was in his late 30s, greeted Luhan respectfully. Uncle. Hyuga Luoning, who was sitting in the chair, also got up and greeted Hyuga Huyang. Luhan raised his hand to Hataki Tai Shuo, indicating that he should not be too polite, and then smiled and said to Hyuga Huyang, Lord Huyang, long time no see. Lord Han Guang, just came back. Yes, just came back. The two were polite. In terms of relationship, Luhan married Hyuga Luoning, and should call Hyuga Huyang the uncle, but no one without eyes would bring up this kind of thing, even if he used to be the captain of Anbu. Luhan, who is still on an equal footing with Hyuga Huyang, not to mention Luhan who is now Hokage's assistant. In terms of personal identity, Hyuga Huyang is Luhan's elder, and in terms of public affairs, Luhan is a higher-level Konoha executive, and now he is the leader of Hokage. It would be embarrassing for the two of them to respect the other. So both of them will ignore this issue and be polite to each other. Hataki Taishuo suddenly wondered, tilting his head to look at Hyuga Huyang. Lord Huyang, you came over in a hurry, what happened? What happened? Hyuga Huyang looked at Hyuga Luoning who was looking good, then glanced at Luhan again, shook his head and said, it's okay. Luhan narrowed his eyes slightly, he knew that Hyuga Huyang had noticed it. Hyuga Huyang can naturally guess that as soon as Luhan came back, he lost his sense of Hyuga Luoning, which was naturally done by Luhan. As for how he did it, he couldn't figure it out. A ring is a kind of jewelry, and Hyuga Huyang could not have guessed that the ring worn by Hyuga Luoning could produce an insulating effect. The ability of cold light is unpredictable. Hyuga Huyang will not conflict with Luhan because of this kind of thing, it is completely unnecessary. Hyuga Luoning is already married, if Hyuga Huyang really talks about this, it will be him justified. From time to time, When Sarutobi Hiruzen was there, Hyuga Huyang was loyal to Sarutobi Hiruzen and wanted to control Luhan for Sarutobi Hiruzen through Hyuga Luo Ning, but now, Sarutobi Hiruzen has been missing for more than half a month and died outside. Future consideration for the Hyuga family. Luhan invited the two of them into the house, and they soon had a good conversation. Hyuga Luo Ning went to the kitchen to help very obediently. Soon, Hitaki Sakumo, Hyuga Haeyoung, and Uchiha Leiyang who got the news all came, and Uchiha Leiyang also brought Uchiha Makoto. To Luhan's disappointment, Inuzuka's tears didn't come, and he didn't know whether it was because he was busy with official business or because the relationship between the two was not in place. Let me know, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there will be a meeting in the third conference room. Luhan whispered to White Fang. Chapter 0671 Kumogakure sent troops. Hitaki Sakumo got up and left in a hurry. Luhan told him to inform him, and he naturally explained to Anbu Ninja to do it. After a while, he returned to the house and chatted with everyone. They asked about Luhan's situation, and Luhan also asked about Konoha's current situation. Fortunately, Konoha has been calm recently, construction is proceeding in an orderly manner, and the front line has entered a state of truce. The reason for the truce is because Sunagakure and Omegakure both have plans to attack the Land of Fire, and they will transfer their troops to prepare, and the Konoha Legion there is also a plan to withdraw Konoha in an all-round way. Therefore, the three parties chose a truce tacitly. As a result, because Luhan broke through the village of Kurigakure alone, all action plans have been shelved, and they are currently waiting to see. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't come back and there was no news. Anbu was still looking. Regarding the situation in the Land of Water, Luhan only said a few things, which caused a burst of amazement. There was only one thing he said extremely vaguely, and that was about robbing money. This incident has not spread, and the outside world does not know how much money Kurigakure was robbed. As for the robbery of the name of the country of water, except for Kurigakure, other forces have no way of knowing, and there are no spies staring at the country of water all day long. In the case of Daming Mansion, it is worthless to do this. The famous general of the Land of Water completely concealed this matter, because he understood that once this matter spread, it would affect his rule. Luhan just said that he robbed some money in the Land of Water, but didn't say much. Fusar-kun, come here. Hyuga Luo Ning waved to Luhan at the entrance of the stairs and whispered, and she didn't know if there was an outsider, but she actually called Luhan, Mr. Cough. Luhan coughed lightly, I'll go and talk. Luhan got up and walked to the top of the stairs. He pulled Hyuga Luo Ning and took a few steps in. He asked in a low voice, what's wrong? Sister is really angry. Hyuga Luo Ning said timidly, raised her little hand and looked at the ring. She always looks at my ring, and when I talk to her, she ignores me and thinks I'm clumsy. Don't let me help. Fire in the backyard. Luhan had a headache and rubbed Hyuga Luo Ning's head. Don't worry, don't think about it, go and make tea for the guests, I'll go to the kitchen to see. In the kitchen, Tsunade in an apron was standing in front of the sink, washing vegetables. When Hyuga Luo Ning was there, her face was expressionless, and now there was no one else in the kitchen, she looked aggrieved and was about to cry. Suddenly, Tsunade felt a chill on his neck. A pair of hands stretched out from behind and put a string of sparkling diamond necklaces around Tsunade's neck. Luhan's voice sounded from behind Tsunade, how could I forget my kiss Tsunade-chan? Tsunade-chan, don't be angry, you're not pretty when you're angry. Having said that, Luhan felt a chill. HMPH, who is your kiss Tsunade-chan? Tsunade grunted dissatisfiedly, but took out a small mirror from his arms and looked at the necklace. Then the ring given to Hyuga Luo Ning. Luhan hugged Tsunade's waist from behind, kissed Tsunade's neck, and then said in her ear, the ring is actually. Luhan briefly said about the isolation of the ring I found it in the treasury of the Daming Palace in the Land of Water. The Damo in the Land of Water collects folk treasures, and it is estimated that he does not know the effect of the ring. Quote. After Luhan's explanation, Tsunade knew that he had misunderstood Luhan, not favoring one over the other. It was not a gift at all, but a life-saving amulet for Hyuga Luo Ning. Tsunade turned around and hugged Luhan, raised his head to meet Luhan's eyes, and the two slowly kissed each other. For a while. Yeah, that, I didn't mean to. Uchiha Makoto's exclamation came from the door. Her face was full of yuhi. She turned around in a hurry. I came to see if I can help, I'm sorry. Tsunade punched Luhan angrily. She obviously took the initiative, but it seemed like Luhan's fault. Luhan smiled and walked out of the kitchen. Uchiha Makoto no longer dared to look at Luhan. When Luhan walked to the door, she was about to drop her head into her chest. Go and help, Luhan said with a smile, and then went out. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the third meeting room of the Hokage building. Luhan held this meeting for two purposes. One is to destroy the black market, and the other is to establish the silver line. In fact, these two things are related, because the hard currency in the ninja world today is not the money ticket of the 5 major ninja villages. It is the black market money ticket, and once the black market is destroyed, the black market money ticket will be worthless. For the establishment of the silver line, the Konoha ninja world already has an organization similar to the silver line, but it is not uniform enough. In the original book, when Konoha was 60 years old, there was already a silver line. At that time, technology was more developed, not only the silver line, and a passbook. Uzumaki Naruto has seen Jiraiya's passbook. Therefore, Luhan can infer that even if he does not propose to build a unified and standardized silver line, someone will do so sooner or later. At present, the ninja world already has enough industrial foundation. Once the technology develops to a certain level, it will open the fast lane and improve rapidly. By then many modern products will emerge as the times require. It's been half a month since we declared war on the black market. Can someone submit the heads of black market ninjas recently? Luhan asked. Yes. Kaharu Yuditane was expressionless. There are 7 people to submit, only 3 can be proved to be the heads of black market ninjas. Although Kaharu Yuditane has many dissatisfaction with Luhan is now too popular and prestige Gao. She didn't dare to accuse Luhan of anything. Only 3. Luhan frowned. So few. It is indeed too few. 3 submissions are submitted in half a month, and there are only 60 or 70 in a year. It is not necessarily faster than the black market recruitment and training. It's mainly because most people don't believe that we, Konoha, can provide enough commissions, Homura Mitokado said. Normally, the head of an elite jonin is worth millions of 20 to 10 million per head, and we need to deal with it. War, and the black market is better than. The office door was suddenly pushed open, and an Anbu ninja hurriedly entered the door, whispered a few words to Luhan, and then presented the scroll. Luhan's face changed. Kumogakure village dispatched troops. Chapter-661 How much money did Han Guang rob? Open the pocket scroll. The above is the detailed information. Kumogakure village of the Land of Thunder dispatched a large army with nearly 3,000 people, led by Raikage I, the 3rd generation, and left the border of the Land of Thunder and entered the Land of Frost half a day ago. Considering that the information was sent back by the bird ninja beast, it is also necessary to time, according to the speed of the Kumogakure Legion, may have reached the hinterland of the Frost Land at this time. The Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Thunder are separated by the Kingdom of Frost and the Kingdom of Soup. If the Kumogakure Corps marched at full speed, crossing the 2 small countries, it was expected to reach the northern border of the Fire Nation in 4 days at the latest. Kumogakure are mostly taijutsu ninjas. The speed of the Kumogakure Corps marching is unparalleled in the ninja world. The normal ninja army needs to travel 6 or 7 days, and the Kumogakure Corps takes 3 or 4 days to be enough. Luhan looked at the scroll and didn't say anything, but motioned for Homura Mitokado to continue. Cough. Homura Mitokado cleared his throat and continued, the financial resources of the black market are far greater than our Konoha, and what they themselves do is to contact killers to kill. Black market killers depend on the black market to survive and want them to pay for money. It's very difficult to deal with the black market. Quote. The main issue is money. Kaharu Yuditane replied immediately, looking at Lu Han with a burning gaze. If we have enough money, those greedy black market killers will definitely work for us. They are all for money. Just doing things. Lord Hangguang, how much money have you raised now? Is it enough to handle this plan? Quote. Lu Han had promised before that he would be responsible for all the money to be paid for this plan. I robbed the Kurigakure treasure house. Lu Han said. Well, we know that, so how much was robbed? Kaharu Yuditane demanded. Lu Han would not tell Kaharu Yuditane how much he robbed. What if Kaharu Yuditane suggested that Lu Han be confiscated? Lu Han is not reluctant, but once the money is confiscated, it is out of his control. Supplement, the money is in Lu Han's hands, so Lu Han can strengthen his control over Konoha. After all, it's for Hokage's position. I can take out 100 million taels first and use it for the plan against the black market. Lu Han glanced at Kaharu Yuditane and then glanced at the others. This money should be used for a long time. If it is not enough, I will make it up. Kaharu Yuditane's face changed, and the others also looked strange. The shot is 100 million taels. How much did Han Guang rob? We can also let out the wind. Lu Han said again, just say, I emptied the Kurigakure treasure house, and at the same time announced that the daimyo has agreed to provide us with financial support. The daimyo mentioned here is naturally the country of fire big name. Okay. Kaharu Yuditane nodded reluctantly. She wanted to attack Lu Han in terms of money. Lu Han had already said that he would give out 100 million taels first. Naturally, he had nothing to say. Speaking of the first issue, about the Silver Line. Silver Line is the bank. Lu Han explained the plan in detail, and then said to Kaharu Yuditane, I will leave this matter to Lord Kaharu, and I will provide you with information. 50 million startup capital. I suggest you to contact the daimyo. The daimyo will definitely be willing to participate in this matter. The establishment of the Silver Line should be based on civil forces, and it is best to exist completely independently, so as to avoid the Silver Line being affected by the war. Kaharu Yuditane was hostile to Lu Han, but Lu Han took responsibility for her, mainly because it was very troublesome. He just wanted to make trouble for Kaharu Yuditane so that she didn't have time to stumble on him. Of course, this can also be said to be a buy-in. I have given you such an important task. When selecting Hokage, you should give some face, right? Naturally, Kaharu Yuditane agreed, and the consultant had no real power, but if she could establish a Silver Line and the master had great financial resources, her status would naturally rise. Others had different expressions. They didn't care who Lu Han gave the task to, but were thinking. Still that question. How much money did Han Guang rob? Lu Han said before that the release of the wind said that he emptied the Kurigakure treasury, which sounds like the meaning of releasing fake news. The subtext is, I did not empty the Kurigakure treasury, but we said that to the outside world. So they can't judge now how much Lu Han robbed. In fact, the money that Lu Han robbed was beyond their imagination. He didn't even mention the name of the land of water. The name is the real rich. In the entire ninja world, there are only 7 or 8,000 ninjas. Ordinary people are tens of millions or even hundreds of millions, because there is no detailed statistics, and no one knows how many people there are. Anyway, there are a lot of them, and how much wealth can the master's people bring to him, the great name of the water country in the mortal world? In fact, Lu Han doesn't even know how much money he has in his space backpack. It will take a long time for gold-silver jewelry to figure out the true value. If you have no objection to the above questions, Lu Han said, picking up the scroll he just put down, I just got the information that Kumogakure village has dispatched troops and is currently marching in the land of frost. It is expected to reach the northeast of the land of fire in 4 days. Frontier. Quote. What? How dare you? It's really coming. The war madman. Lu Han looked at the reactions of everyone in the conference room, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that the crowd was excited. Of course, Konoha has a lot of internal conflicts, but Konoha has always been external to the real enemy. Inuzuka tearfully obeyed the order. Luhan said. My subordinates are here. Inuzuka got up in tears and promised. From now on, the garrison army will enter the highest level of combat readiness, and those ninjas of the garrison army who participated in the construction will be withdrawn. Yes. White Fang obeys. From now on, the search for Lord Hokage will be suspended, and all Anbu will be assembled, ready to carry out the beheading operation at any time. Hatake Taishuo listened to the order, and all members of the S Division are ready for battle. For the time being, do not let the S Division members go out to perform tasks alone. Hyuga Huyang and Uchiha Leyang obeyed the order, and your two clans formally established the Konoha Military Management Force. The Uchiha clan, Konoha Police Force is still responsible for the patrol and defense of the inner area of Konoha, and the Hyuga clan is responsible for the investigation of the surrounding areas outside Konoha. Quote. In addition, notify the 1st Main Battle Army to withdraw to the northwest border of the Fire Nation and stand by. Party. Chapter 0673_God's Way of War. When Kumogakure attacked, Konoha had to be careful. Although there was only one legion, all of Konoha's main battle legions were dragged in the Land of Rain, and Konoha didn't have many ninjas. Kumogakure should not directly attack Konoha village, but as long as they entering the country of fire, you will definitely conquer cities and occupy territories. When the time comes, Konoha must send troops. Luhan didn't know what Lao Ai thought. After all, Kumogakure sent troops to the country of fire, but it changed from a single-line battle to a two-line battle. The village of Iwagakure, the land of soil, might counterattack and enter the country of thunder. After the meeting, Luhan walked out quickly, Hatake Tsukumo following him. Contact Iwagakure village and ask them if they would like to form an alliance. Luhan ordered in a low voice. Understood. White Fang nodded, then disappeared beside Luhan. Konoha and Iwagakure used to be allies. Later, because the Iwagakure Legion withdrew from the Land of Rain, the covenant was lifted. Now Luhan has plans to form an alliance with Iwagakure again. Based on the previous foundation, Onoki will agree. Luhan immediately waved to Hatake Taishuo again, and when Hatake Taishuo came over, he explained in a low voice, when everyone is here, choose a few ninjas who are good at speed and go to the Land of Wind. It was not until he walked out of the Hokage building that Luhan finished explaining to Hatake Taishuo. He told Hatake Taishuo a not uncommon but despised fighting method, guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare, in the world where Luhan lived in his previous life, can be called the mystery of war. Godlike way of war. The ninjas in the S department are all the geniuses of Konoha. The strongest group of people in the young and strong generation, an elite Jonin, can easily destroy a team or even a squadron led by Jonin, so the ninjas sent to the country of wind it doesn't need much. What they have to do is to attack the strongholds, supply troops, and mission teams operating alone in the Land of Winds to bring out the essence of guerrilla warfare. Kumogakure village, a land of thunder, is not scary, but it is besieged and beaten. Kurigakure village still has half-life left, and it is estimated that no troops will be dispatched in the short term. It is Sunagakure village. Of course you have to find something for them. A day later, Hatake Taishuo personally led the team and brought 5S unit super elite Jonin to the country of wind. With Hatake Taishuo's strength comparable to the level 60 white silver boss, plus 5 super elites, the overall strength was even higher than the original. The 7 members of the Ninja Blade of the Mist, fighting guerrilla. If they play well, they will have the prestige of the 7 members of the Ninja Blade of the Mist in a very short period of time, which will make people fearful. After Hatake Taishuo left, the S department was temporarily hosted by Jiraiya. After another 3 days, the rumors released by Konoha have been known to Akatsuki by spies from various forces, and the news quickly spread throughout the ninja world. Konoha said that Hangguang emptied the Kurigakure treasure house. No one believed the news at first glance. Hangguang was alone. What should I do? Apart from Konoha's internal ninjutsu, Luhan's knowledge of Akatsuki is not much. But Han Guang is always so incredible, so no one dares to say that it must be fake. It's true or not can only be known after checking, so all the forces sent a large number of spies to Kurigakure. In fact, the news is not for all parties, but for black market killers. They receive tasks in the black market all the year round, they know the black market very well, and only they can destroy the black market. For other people, even the black market can't be found anywhere. Black market orders are extremely rare. Anyway, the news has been spread, and there will definitely be black market killers who believe that as long as some black market killers choose to defect, when Konoha really pays them enough money, it will definitely lead more black market killers to do so. On a clear day, the sun is just right. In the kitchen, there was a smell of vegetables. Tsunade and Hyuga Luo Ning were still busy. In the living room, Uzumaki Kushina Yuhi was sitting in Lu Han's arms with his eyes open, and Lu Han was comforting her. Since that day of the Konoha battle, the little girl has been locked up in Anbu. It was not until today that Lu Han picked her up. After careful calculation, it has been more than 20 days, and the little girl has been wronged. Hataki Sakumo knew that Kushina's temperament was a bit naughty, and she couldn't beat her or scolded her. Therefore, in order to prevent her from sneaking out of the Anbu station, Hataki Sakumo restricted her movement. Even in the Anbu station, Kushina could not move around at will. That bastard, he locked me up like a prisoner and didn't give me snacks. The guy who looked at me always had a dark face. Kushina sobbed, still talking to Lu Han complained, and he didn't know how many times he scolded White Fang for being a bastard. Lu Han had no choice but to comfort him. To seal Kyubi Ninetales in Uzumaki Kushina's body, Kushina can't control the power of Kyubi Ninetales now. She is used as a tool. For a little girl, this is a tragedy. You're still eating snacks. You're not a child anymore. If you like it so much, you'll become a little fat man. Lu Han pinched Kushina's nose and joked. Where you get fat, everyone is thin. Kushina raised her jade-like arm to Lu Han, meaning to let Lu Han see that her arm was getting thinner. Report. A respectful voice sounded outside the door. Lu Han touched Kushina's little head and told her to help in the kitchen. After she left, Lu Han said to the door, "Come in." Anbu Ninja hurriedly entered the door and handed the intelligence scroll to Lu Han. Lu Han does not handle official business in the Hokage building. Because the Sarutobi Hiruzen matter has not been finalized, he cannot enter the Hokage office, and he does not like to go to the Hokage assistant office that Danzo used, so he moved the office to his home. Intelligence. The Kumogakure Legion is still stationed on the frontier and has not invaded the Fire Nation. Understood, let's go, Lu Han said, and the Anbu ninja hurried away. Lao Ai, what are you waiting for? If you don't hit me, how can I let go and hit you? Lu Han muttered to himself, got up and walked to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Kushina was stealing balls while Tsunade and Hyuga Luoning were not paying attention. Standing at the door, Lu Han looked at Kushina's sneaky appearance, and suddenly laughed, but did not expose her. Lu Han suddenly thought of one thing, it seems that the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can control Kyubi Ninetales. Chapter 0674_not pervert. The reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen is worried about the Uchiha clan is on the one hand historical reasons. The Uchiha clan in history is too warlike, and there have been characters like Uchiha Madara. On the other hand, it is related to Sharingan. Just because Mangekyo Sharingan can control Kyubi Ninetales. Uncontrolled Kyubi Ninetales will run wild. Kyubi Ninetales is extremely intelligent. Konoha seals it up all year round. It will naturally retaliate. So in Kyubi Ninetales people Jinchuriki column have no power. It is difficult for Konoha to drive Kyubi Ninetales until he is strong enough. But the Uchiha clan is an anomaly. They don't need to become human Jinchuriki column power. They only need Mangekyo Sharingan pupil power enough to manipulate Kyubi Ninetales for battle. Lu Han never thought that he would be able to control Kyubi Ninetales before. As far as his Mangekyo Sharingan is concerned, it is estimated that it is very difficult. But now it is different, his Mangekyo has been promoted to eternity. With my current physical condition, it is enough to become a new generation of Jinchuriki column power. If Kyubi 9 Tails is sealed in my body, I will obtain Kyubi 9 Tails chakra, and even if Kyubi 9 Tails cannot be sealed in my body, 9 Tails is sealed within me, and my Mangekyo Sharingan can also drive Kyubi 9 Tails. More Luhan thought about it, the more heartbroken he became. As long as he could get Kyubi 9 Tails, he would be invincible, and it would be useless for Sarutobi Hiruzen to come back. Luhan is weaker than Sarutobi Hiruzen, plus Kyubi 9 Tails, Sarutobi Hiruzen can compete with him. Kushina, Luhan suddenly called out. Woo! Kushina just slipped a ball into her mouth secretly, but before she could swallow it, she turned back subconsciously when she heard Luhan calling her, and immediately became very embarrassed, as if she had been caught as a thief. Stealing again. Tsunade looked over and scolded. I'll eat like a little fat. Hyuga Luo Ning joked. Come here. Luhan waved to Kushina, then turned and walked towards the living room. Kushina looked like a child who made a mistake, and followed Luhan with her head down, but she quickly chewed the meatballs in her mouth and swallowed it. Luhan sat on the chair and asked Kushina to stand closer, then pulled off Kushina's clothes. The seal was on her belly. Luhan looked at the seal and squinted slightly. Kushina's small face brushed Yuhi. She always knew everything. She was nervous. The seal of the ghoul, the seal of the 8 trigrams. The seal of the 4 elephants. Luhan tried his best to recall the sealing technique of the Kyubi 9 Tails in the original work. In this regard, the original work does not seem to express it clearly enough. Also a little confusing. Hokage Namikaze Minato, the 4th generation, sealed Kyubi 9 Tails in Naruto's body. It seemed to be the 8 trigrams seal, but the 8 trigrams seal seemed to be a general term, representing 2 kinds of sealing techniques, namely, the seal of the corpse. With 4 icons seal. Seems that Namikaze Minato used the 4-image seal twice, and left his own chakra in Naruto's body. On Uzumaki Kushina, Sarutobi Hiruzen used the ghoul seal and the 4-image seal, respectively, to seal half of Kyubi 9 Tails. How to take it out? Looking at the seal, Luhan thought to himself. No matter what the seal is, Luhan definitely has the ability to break it, but the problem is that breaking the seal violently and forcibly extracting Kyubi 9 Tails will kill Uzumaki Kushina, which is not worth the loss. Luhan has raised Kushina for so many years, and naturally he will not hurt her. The premise is not to hurt Kushina. Perhaps, Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado should know how to safely bring Kyubi 9 Tails out. Luhan scratched his head a little. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo should be the ones who knew the matter best, but one of them is missing now. One died. As for Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado, if they could tell Luhan, they would be hell. Even as long as Luhan said this, Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado would immediately find a way to hide Kushina. Or simply, find a way to start taking power. Everyone knows that Luhan has Mangekyo. Luhan dared to mention about Kyubi 9 Tails. Many people would think that Luhan wanted to control Kyubi 9 Tails. Unfortunately, I'm not Hokage yet. There's no news about whether Sarutobi Hiruzen is alive or dead. If I have absolute power, Luhan is also helpless. Everything else is easy to say. Even the disappearance of Sarutobi Hiruzen is inconclusive, and he can't find it either. Arrive. Okay, darling. Luhan sorted Kushina's clothes and touched her head again. Kushina Yuhi ran away with a sullen face, ran back to the kitchen in a blink of an eye, and jumped into Tsunade's arms, burying his head and not coming out. Tsunade thought that Kushina was being scolded, so he comforted a few words, but found that Kushina was not wronged, but Yuhi, who seemed very shy. What happened to Kushina? Teacher, he lifted my clothes and touched my stomach. Luhan's ears were astonishing, he heard it naturally, and jumped up from his chair. You asshole. Lao Su is not pervert. Luhan hurriedly walked to the kitchen door. The eyes of the three in the kitchen fell on Luhan. Hyuga Luoning widened his eyes in shock. Tsunade's eyes were angry, and Kushina Yuhi's face was innocent. Cough. I just looked at the seal on her body. Luhan explained lightly. After half an hour, lunch. Luhan had a tormented feeling, because he found that his explanation was very weak. Tsunade and Hyuga Luoning, two women, looked at him with strange eyes all the time, while Kushina was eating hasai and became indifferent. Heartless. Luhan felt that he was tricked by Kushina. She clearly did it on purpose. Cold, Tsunade said coldly. Huh. Luhan responded with a nasal voice. Kushina is still young, Tsunade said. PFF'd. Luhan spat out a mouthful of porridge. Hyuga Luoning sat opposite him, sprayed all over his face. Cough, cough, cough. Luhan coughed again. Kushina snickered aside, but kindly handed the tissue to Hyuga Luoning. Report. A respectful voice came from outside the door. I'm busy. Luhan immediately got up and walked out, as if he had met a savior, and closed the door when he went out. Then he breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Anbu Ninja who was on one knee and said, say. Quote. The Kumogakure mission is visiting, 30 miles from the village entrance. Oh, Luhan suddenly became energetic. Who leads the team? Chapter 0675_Open Your Eyes and Talk Nonsense. It was Lao Ai's son who led the Kumogakure mission of Konoha, the future fourth generation of Reikage Xiao Ai. I have to say, Lao Ai is really willing. Xiao Ai is also a bold and talented person. Kumogakure is under pressure. He actually dared to come in person, not afraid that Konoha will detain him. When Luhan got the news, Kumogakure's mission was still dozens of miles away from Konoha. They were envoys to Konoha, not spying, so naturally they wouldn't hide it. After being discovered by Hyuga's scouts, they could only monitor. Go down slowly towards Konoha. Taking advantage of this time, Luhan returned to the Hokage building, summoned Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, Inazuka Lei, and Hitaki Sakumo to hold a brief meeting. Good chance. The third generation of Reikage dares to send his son. We can detain him first. His son is in our hands. Kumogakure will not dare to act rashly. The longer the delay is, the better it will be for us. Kaharu Udatane, the only woman among the five, made the most radical suggestion. No, Inazuka immediately objected with tears. The so-called war between the two armies does not come without cuts. Although the third generation of Reikage is a war madman, he is also upright, and we Konoha should also be magnanimous. Besides, his son is only a small character after all, and he broke us for him. Konoha fame, not worth it. Quote. I didn't say kill him. Kaharu Udatane said sharply. It's just a temporary deduction. The Legion will consume a lot of money every day when we are outside. If we deduct an extra day, Kumogakure will consume an extra day. No, I'm against it. Inazuka didn't argue with Kaharu Udatane either, just sticking to his opinion. I think it's better not to rush to make a decision first. Homura Mitokado helped her eyes. Her eyes flashed with brilliance. Listen to what the messenger has to say first. Kumogakure will not send a mission for no reason. There must be something to ask for. Second, Hitaki Sakumo said directly. Well, Luhan thought about it again and again and decided to listen to Homura Mitokado's advice. In fact, if it wasn't necessary, he didn't like to deceive Konoha's reputation by deceiving people. Let's go. At the same time when this small meeting was over, the Kumogakure delegation officially entered the village of Konoha under the reception of Hyuga Huyang. This time, Kumogakure sent an ambassador to Konoha, and sent a total of more than 30 people to escort them. Hyuga Huyang led people to wrap them. After entering Konoha, he went straight to the Hokage building. Along the way, the ninjas of the mission kept all the things they saw in the village of Konoha secretly in their hearts, because the reconstruction of Konoha has not been completed, and many of the original tree-lined places are now bare and cannot form enough shelter. It gave them a chance to observe. Compared with the others, Xiao Ai seems very casual. His mind is not on Konoha, S arrangement, but on the scroll in his arms. This is a secret letter written by Lao Ai and instructing Xiao Ai to hand it over to Han Guang. In the mission, only Xiao Ai knew the contents of the secret letter, and only he knew the real purpose of this mission. Lu Han received the Kumogakure mission in the council hall of the Hokage building. On the Konoha side, Anbu Captain White Fang, advisor Kaharu Udatane, and Hyuga clan chief Hyuga Huyang were there. Master Ai, stay safe. Lu Han looked at Xiao Ai with a half-smiling smile, and the name, Master Ai, was rather harsh. Xiao Ai's eyes widened immediately. Yuhi's face rose, the blue veins on his forehead burst out, and the incident of being punched by Lu Han was regarded as a great shame and humiliation by him. Humph! Xiao Ai snorted coldly, holding back the attack. He remembered his father's instructions to him before going out. No matter what Konoha said, he couldn't get angry. Why? Because he is the messenger, Konoha can't touch him. If he, as a messenger, causes trouble in Konoha, Konoha can use this as a reason to detain him and speak out without losing his reputation. After all, Xiao Ai was rude first. Xiao Ai also understands the reason why people have to bow their heads under the eaves. The two sides officially started talks. Xiao Ai looks like a rude martial artist, but in fact they're rough and subtle. When it comes to the current situation, he can speak eloquently, explaining the current general situation of the ninja world and the situation of Konoha. We Kumogakure sent troops to come, and it was also forced by the situation. After years of war, our Kumogakure has no financial resources, and the land is extremely barren. Therefore, we have to come to the Land of Fire to find a way out. I heard that the northern part of the Land of Fire has always been it is a wealthy place, and the civilians on that side have great respect for our Kumogakure, and volunteered money to give us Kumogakure, but considering that the country of fire is governed by the village of Konoha, in order to prevent misunderstanding, we have never entered the country of fire. Quote. Xiao Ai's ability to open his eyes and talk nonsense is also very good. He has no face Yuhi. Lu Han smiled lightly and didn't say anything. He still had this bit of shrewdness. Xiao Ai said that it was useless to break the sky. If it wasn't theirs, it wouldn't be theirs. Lu Han didn't bother to argue with him. It's shameless. Kaharu Udatane didn't give any face, and directly sprayed Xiao Ai with saliva. You Kumogakure are so shameless. Just say it straight when you pry into the richness of the fire country. Don't beat around the bush here, it's disgusting. Quote. Xiao Ai's face suddenly turned to Yuhi. He didn't expect that there would be a vixen at the negotiating table. What he didn't know was that this bitch was specially arranged by Lu Han. Two sides are arguing with each other. Xiao Ai will not argue with women, but there are capable people in the Kumogakure mission who can turn black into white. Kaharu Udatane is also the one with outstanding combat effectiveness. Fighting against Kumogakure with 5 or 6 people, he didn't fall behind. Hyuga Huyang couldn't listen anymore, and winked at Lu Han frequently, motioning him to stop the farce. Lu Han understood, and felt that it was pointless to quarrel like this, so he squeezed his hands and said, Okay, explain your intentions. What is the real situation? You and I know it well, don't waste your words arguing. The hall fell silent immediately. Cough. Xiao Ai cleared his throat and said formally, Our Kumogakure request is very simple. The perennial war has left our Kumogakure warehouse empty. I heard that Lord Hengguang robbed a sum of money in Kurigakure today. If Lord Hengguang can land us at Kumogakure 200 million taels, we Kumogakure will withdraw immediately, and we are willing to temporarily form an alliance with Konoha. Quote. Chapter-661 Who said I promised to give money? The Kumogakure lion opened his mouth, and the purpose of the mission was only 2 words, to ask for money. It is said that it is, borrowing, money, it must only be borrowed and not repaid. You only need to make a fuss about it literally, regardless of when to repay the money, or to say that you can repay the money in 100 years, and the reputation of Kumogakure will not be damaged because of this. Originally, he was threatening to ask for money, saying that he would borrow it, but it was just to sound nicer. And the way Kurigakure asks for money is very vicious. They don't ask Konoha for money, they ask Lu Han for money. If Lu Han doesn't agree or not, they can decide for themselves. Han might be labeled a selfish hat. Lu Han pondered and did not answer immediately. The hall fell into silence. In fact, the conditions given by Kurigakure are very good. At present, Konoha is beleaguered on all sides. If Kumogakure is missing, the pressure on Konoha will suddenly ease. If Kumogakure really forms an alliance with Konoha, even if it is temporary, it will be enough to make Konoha from a disadvantage. Out of the quagmire. This will kill a lot of people. It can also end the Ninja World War earlier. That is, the money that Kumogakure asks is really too much. Opening your mouth is 200 million taels. If you use 200 million taels to hire a few strong men, it will be extremely terrifying. A normal cage-level black market killer can hire one with 10 to 20 million taels. 200 million taels of liquidity is too useful, such as Konoha. The current plan to eradicate the black market is precisely because enough money is available to carry out this plan. It's not that Lu Han doesn't have 200 million taels, but it's one thing to have it, and it's another thing to give it or not. Currently, the village of Sunagakure in the land of wind, Kurigakure in the land of water, Omegakure in the land of rain, and the power of the black market all regard Konoha village as a thorn in their side. Konoha is shaky and may be destroyed at any time. Lord Hengguang only needs to take out 200 million taels can turn the situation around. Lord Hengguang won't be reluctant, right? Xiao Ai is really good at speaking, and she is still alarmist. Putting all the responsibility on Lu Han again, and coercing Lu Han with the general trend of the world, he just didn't ask Konoha for money, but only aimed at Lu Han. The Konoha ninjas present, apart from Hatake Tsukumo's expressionless face, Hyuga Huyang and Kaharu Yuditane are already quite moved, but both of them are human beings, so naturally it is impossible to persuade Lu Han in front of the foreign mission. That will make Lu Han it is difficult to ride a tiger. If Lu Han refuses to agree, he will let outsiders know that there is a disagreement within Konoha. Although Kaharu Yuditane doesn't like Lu Han, and even hates Lu Han because of Danzo's affairs, her loyalty to Konoha is unquestionable and she won't mess around regardless of the occasion. Before Lu Han used her as a shrew, why didn't she know Lu Han's thoughts? As for your Kumogakure proposal, I can't decide if it matters so much. Lu Han finally said, I've been tired all the way, you guys rest for a while, I'll let someone arrange accommodation for you, and we'll talk to you when we discuss the results here. You talk. Lu Han immediately sent Xiao Ai and others away, and then called Homura Mitokado, Inazuka Lei, Uchiha Lei Young and others to hold a meeting in the third conference room. In the dimly lit conference room, people quickly arrived. Kumogakure is so deceiving. Kaharu Yuditane thumped the table, his face full of resentment. You dare to threaten us. Lu Han glanced at Kaharu Yuditane in surprise, but he didn't expect Kaharu Yuditane to say such a thing. However, if it is possible to protect the frontline army, reduce the losses of my Konoha, temporarily form an alliance with Kumogakure, and solve the current predicament of Konoha, even if it pays some money, it is worth it. Kaharu Yuditane said again. Lu Han said in his heart, sure enough, Kaharu Yuditane is a peacemaker. Several people who did not participate in the talks have already heard about the content of the talks. After Kaharu Yuditane expressed his opinion, Hyuga Huyang also said, however, 200 million taels is too much. I estimate that Kumogakure offered this amount to counter-offer us leeway. Quote, 200 million taels, Kumogakure really dares to ask for it. Homura Mitokado shook his head and glanced at Lu Han. Although I know how much money Lord Hengguang robbed, but the previous plan for the black market, and Silver's plan, Hengguang your lord has already given out 150 million taels, I think. At most 100 million taels to Kumogakure, no more. I am afraid they won't agree, it's too little. Kaharu Yuditane said. Lu Han has been silent, listening to their discussions. At present, Kaharu Yuditane, Homura Mitokado, and Hyuga Huyang all support giving money, but not as much as 200 million taels. Lord Tears, what do you think? Kaharu Yuditane looked at Inazuka Tears, who held the real power and status. In the previous meeting, Kaharu Yuditane and Inuzuka had conflicts, but the two did not hate each other because of this. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss in the case of different opinions. Kumogakure can't just ask for money. If the country of fire can be saved from war, this condition is not unacceptable. Inuzuka said tearfully, however, for Konoha to settle the trouble, it is probably not appropriate for Lord Hangwang to pay alone. I want to come to Lord Hangwang and I would like to dedicate to Konoha. Kaharu Yuditane said immediately. No need. Inuzuka frowned and shook his head. I don't mean to let the village and Lord Hangwang share the money, but to report this matter to the daimyo. You know, once Kumogakure enters the country of fire, the biggest loss is not we or Konoha, but the daimyo. If the northern part of the land of fire is occupied by Kumogakure, the income of the daimyo will drop by a third immediately, so I think the daimyo will definitely be willing to pay for peace. Quote. Okay. Kaharu Yuditane's eyes suddenly lit up. Lord Lei is right, this matter should be known to the daimyo. With the daimyo's financial resources, it's not a problem for him to spend 100 million taels. Well, that's right. Lord Lei said it well, that's how it should be done. Homura Mitokado and Hyuga Huyang both nodded in agreement. So far, apart from Lu Han, only Hatake Sakumo and Uchiha Leiyang didn't speak, and they both frowned. Lord Hangwang, how much can you take out? Kaharu Yuditane looked at Lu Han again. I think you only need to take out another 50 million, and the rest is up to the daimyo. Who said I promised to give money? Lu Han interrupted Kaharu Yuditane. Chapter 0677 Kurigakure dispatches troops. As soon as Lu Han's words came out, Kaharu Yuditane, Homura Mitokado, Hyuga Huyang, and Inuzuka were all stunned. Lu Han didn't refuse immediately before, but chose to hold a meeting to discuss. They all thought that Lu Han agreed to give the money, but hesitantly. And Lu Han didn't speak at the meeting, they also thought that Lu Han acquiesced to their discussion. As a result, do not give. Lord Hangwang, you mean, you don't agree with Kumogakure's proposal to go to war with them? Kaharu Yuditane asked with narrowed eyes. I can't give it. Before Lu Han could speak, Uchiha and Leiyang hurriedly said, why should our Konoha be threatened by their Kumogakure village? When the news spreads out, what does the world think of our Konoha? Could it be that our Konoha is afraid of their Kumogakure village? Not afraid of Kumogakure's treachery. Extorting our Konoha, we will give it to him. They all think that our Konoha is easy to bully, so what should we do? Can Kurigakure also swarm the territory and open up to us lions? If they want to fight, we Konoha will battle. What to fear? Uchiha Leiyang really deserves to be the head of the Uchiha clan. Compared with Inuzuka's tears, he is a pure militant. He is like Lao Ai. His arrogance in his bones makes it difficult for him to bow his head. Reckless man. Brainless reckless man. Kaharu Yuditane scolded directly. In fact, she despised Uchiha Leiyang very much. If it wasn't for Lu Han's temporary rise, Uchiha Leiyang would not have the opportunity to participate in this kind of meeting. We are doing this for the sake of think of the big picture. Blindly seeking a fight will only ruin Konoha. Quote. Humph. If you're timid, it's better to cede the territory, and everyone will be happy. Uchiha Leiyang retorted. The two quarreled, slapped the table and stared, and refused to give in to each other. Okay, enough. People in their 40s and 50s don't understand the rules. Inuzuka slammed the table in tears and stopped the two of them. The two also knew that it was pointless to be so arguing, and when Inuzuka spoke in tears, they both snorted and shut up. Lord Hangwang, what do you think? Inuzuka asked with tears and formality. Lu Han pondered for a while, then looked at Hatake Sakumo, who had been silent for a while. White Fang, what's your opinion? Drag. White Fang said a word. Lu Han signaled him to be more clear, and he said, the Kumogakure messenger is alarmist, as if we don't agree, Konoha will be attacked by a group and will be destroyed because of it. In fact, the situation is not so bad. Quote. Kurigakure has just suffered a catastrophe, so he can't take care of himself in the short term and can't pose a threat to me, Konoha. A megakure is not as strong as the 5 major ninja villages. The country of rain is always in chaos, and the possibility of taking the initiative to attack the country of fire is very low. Sunagakure is the big trouble. But Sunagakure village alone is not enough to shake our Konoha. In fact, all forces are watching. Kumogakure village may indeed be the key to the resumption of the war, but if Kumogakure really invades the country of fire, it will be a two-front war. Iwagakure village does not have the conditions to invade our country of fire. The country of rain is in the middle, and Iwagakure village is drawn over, on the one hand to check and balance Kumogakure village, and on the other hand to deter Amegakure village. The people present were very intelligent, but no one made such an analysis like Hatake Sakumo. Not that they are not as good as Hatake Sakumo, but that they are not as clear as Hatake Sakumo. White Fang is Captain Anbu. He can basically see the information that Lu Han can see. Others don't have this advantage. Moreover, there is a very important point, that is Lord Hokage. Hatake Sakumo finally said, "The life and death of Lord Hokage is uncertain." I think, this is also one of the focuses of all parties. If Lord Hokage can return, Lord Hangguang and Lord Hokage joining forces is enough to deter all parties. So we need to wait, drag. Disagree, don't object, drag first. After White Fang finished speaking, everyone else's expressions became wonderful. What he said was also a good solution. Why be in a hurry? People want money and send it right away. What White Fang said coincided with me, so we told the Kumogakure mission to send someone to contact the daimyo and ask them to wait. Lu Han decided directly, it can be delayed for a day, as long as the use of it the regiment does not leave, the Kumogakure regiment will not dare to move. After the meeting, Hatake Sakumo went to see the Kumogakure embassy. He didn't say whether he would pay or not. He just said that he would send someone to contact the daimyo. This is a very reasonable request. Xiaoai has a ninja who acts as a think tank by her side, and she immediately analyzed that Konoha was planning to make the big name pay. From this, she also analyzed that the money Han Guang grabbed was not as much as rumored. Xiaoai didn't care about money or not. After listening to the analysis, she laughed and despised Lu Han. He didn't expect that the legendary Konoha Hangguang would be so timid and fearful. He would give him money if he asked for it, and he said to himself that if he were to be replaced, he would never be blackmailed successfully if he had a fight. Send someone back to the camp immediately and tell my father about the situation here. Hee, my father always praises Hangguang in front of me, but that's all. The latter move he arranged may not be used anymore. Someone from the Kumogakure mission left the village and returned to the border camp. Lu Han got the news at the first time, but did not stop the interception. Lao Ai must know about this. After all, Xiaoai has not grown up yet, so it is interesting to fight with Lao Ai. Lu Han never told anyone that he would never give money. If you don't give it, you can call it. As a subversive, Lu Han will not aggrieve himself, and let him go to hell with such things as blackmail. Time flies, 6 days later. There have been rumors in the ninja world that Kumogakure is blackmailing Konoha and that Konoha is raising money. The news has spread to all major forces. Lu Han guessed that it must be the news that Lao Ai took the initiative to release, and he wanted to put pressure on himself. It seems that no matter what Lu Han does, he will become a sinner. If he doesn't give money, Lu Han will be considered by some to be selfish and the main culprit of the war. Give the money, and the big hat of losing power and humiliating the village will probably be put on Lu Han's head. Today, in the conference room, there was another small meeting. The discussion was about the war in the Land of Rain. Speaking of which, the biggest pressure on Konoha came from the Land of Rain, because there were two major forces, Sunagakure and Amegakure. Report, emergency information. An Anbu ninja entered the door and interrupted the meeting, walked quickly to Lu Han's side, and handed over the information to Lu Han. Kurigakure is out. Chapter-661-680 Kurigakure Mission _ Looking at the content on the intelligence scroll, Lu Han sighed in his heart. Kurigakure is here to give away the head again. Kurigakure village, one of the 5 major ninja villages, has lost a lot of masters in recent years, but the foundation is still there. Kurigakure, who did not participate in the ninja war, can be said to be the ninja village with the largest number of ninjas in the ninja world. Luhan previously defeated Kurigakure alone. The village just crippled their garrison. Kurigakure village without strong enough strength, without the support of the core strength, the threat is really not as big as the Kumogakure village. This time, Kurigakure dispatched only one legion, the first main battle legion with more than 3,000 people. After reading the information, Luhan threw the scroll on the table and let everyone circulate. Let's take a look. Everyone saw it, and his face became ugly. Konoha is really in trouble. The Kumogakure matter has not been resolved. The Kurigakure village is here again, and Konoha can beat him alone now, but this is not a single fight. Konoha is now difficult. Draw troops to fight Kurigakure. Konoha once the Kurigakure corps has landed in the land of Vortex. Promise Kumogakure. Kaharu Udatane said eagerly. Promise them, immediately form an alliance. As long as Kumogakure is on our side, we can dispatch troops to the country of Vortex, and we must keep the Kurigakure army out of the border of the country of fire. Lord Hangwang. Inuzuka got up in tears and looked at Luhan solemnly. It's not too late. The Kumogakure village should not have received news yet. If they know that Kurigakure has sent troops, I am afraid they will make more excessive demands. The third generation of Raikage is faithful. Man, as long as the negotiations are finalized right away, he will not regret it. Quote. Lord Tears said it well. Lord Hangwang, this matter cannot be delayed. Homura Mitokado and Hyuga Huyang said one after another, and even Uchiha Leiyang, who had refused to give money before, became hesitant at this time. Although he didn't say anything in support of Inuzuka's tears, it seemed that he would not object. Luhan was expressionless and glanced at White Fang again, but did not let White Fang speak. Because this time, White Fang might not support him either. You said, what is Kurigakure sending troops for? Luhan asked with a glance. Naturally, it's for the territory. Kaharu Udatane said, the country of the Vortex has no power to stop them. They can easily occupy the country of the Vortex, and threaten the country of fire from close at hand. Luhan shook his head. No, it's impossible. How is that impossible? Kaharu Udatane frowned. Because it's unnecessary. Luhan continued, for Kurigakure, the most important thing is marine resources. Before they fought with Uzushiogakure village because Uzushiogakure village competed with them for marine resources, and now there is no such problem. Vortex the country itself has no resources, nor a large population. More importantly, Kurigakure has experienced many civil strife and people are unstable. In this case, they come to occupy the country of Vortex, which is likely to cause Kurigakure to split. They really occupy the country of Vortex. Who will manage the country of Vortex? How is the identity compared to Mizukage? Without a leader, who would be subservient? This, Kaharu Udatane was at a loss for words, and he had to admit that Luhan was right. If Kurigakure village is said to be a country, the national regime is already in a state of fragmentation, and there is no leader capable of overpowering the pack. In this case, if Kurigakure village really occupies a large amount of territory outside, one village becomes two villages, it is really possible will split. Luhan can think of it, and Kurigakure senior management can also think of it. They're for the money, Hyuga Huyang said, and he figured it out. Yes, Luhan immediately said, they are following the example of Kumogakure village and sending a legion to threaten us. If you want to come, their mission is coming soon. Luhan didn't say anything. The reason why he was sure that Kurigakure came for money was because only Kurigakure knew how much Luhan had robbed. Half of the property of the daimyo in the land of water, the treasure house of Kurigakure. Sure enough, just 4 days later, the Kurigakure mission reached Konoha. And on this day, the Kurigakure corps invaded the country of Vortex and stationed in the eastern seaport of the country of Vortex, but did not go deep. The reason why the Kurigakure mission came so quickly was because Kurigakure had already dispatched a mission while sending troops. This time, Kurigakure sent an envoy to Konoha, and the embassy was not small. There were hundreds of ninjas, several times more than the Kumogakure embassy. That's why so many people were sent. Lu Han did not meet them immediately, and planned to delay for 2 days. In fact, Lu Han hadn't figured out how to maximize his interests. The arrival of the Kurigakure mission naturally couldn't hide the Kumogakure mission. They had waited for 10 days, but Lu Han still didn't reply to them, and when he heard that someone came to share the cake, Xiaoai immediately started making trouble. Forcing the Hokage building is something that Xiaoai can do. Then he vomited blood after being beaten by White Fang. Fortunately, it is White Fang. If Might Dai, who opened 7 doors, is replaced, he might kill Xiaoai with his ultimate move. No way, Lu Han could only meet the Kumogakure mission again. In the meeting room, Xiaoai's face was pale, and White Fang was merciful. He knew that he couldn't kill him, so he just injured him. After being treated by Konoha Medical Ninja, his injuries were more than half healed. Hengguang, what do you mean? It's been 10 days. If you Konoha are not sincere, we'll leave right away. Xiaoai growled at Lu Han, too embarrassed. He had heard of White Fang's reputation, but never thought about it. After she was powerless to fight back under White Fang's hands, she was beaten in public by White Fang, and Xiaoai wanted to cry without tears. If I knew it earlier, I wouldn't make trouble, because he made trouble, the responsibility rested on him, and White Fang beat him for nothing. Don't worry, Lu Han said with a smile. Actually, I have planned to negotiate with you again today, and the money has been prepared. I didn't expect you to be so impatient. Oh, are you ready? Xiaoai was suddenly shocked, and immediately put the beatings behind him, and put on a formal look. So, 200 million taels, when are you guys going to give it to Konoha? I can't. Lu Han shook his head. Can't you? Are you kidding me? Xiaoai was angry. Alas. Lu Han sighed. It's not that I don't want to give it. The money is ready, but... You should have heard that the Kurigakure mission is also here, and they even asked me for 300 million taels. Chapter 0679-Gauntlet. Lu Han had already thought of how to maximize his benefits and officially entered the actor mode. Kurigakure Messenger asked me to compensate for the loss. At present, the first main battle army of Kurigakure has invaded the country of Vortex. If they agree, they are likely to go straight and enter the country of fire. Lu Han looked sad and angry. They want 300 million taels. You want 200 million taels, a total of 500 million taels. I simply can't come up with that much money. Standing on the side, White Fang gave Lu Han a strange look. His eyes were very obscure. When have you seen the Kurigakure messenger? Don't you drag it first. Xiaoai and the other Kumogakure messengers changed their expressions and looked at each other. The two forces are blackmailing Konoha at the same time. Although the threat to Konoha is aggravated, if Konoha can't get enough money, it must be given to one party, and the other party can only fight. And listening to Lu Han's meaning, is to give Kurigakure money. We came first, you promised them. Xiaoai became anxious again, still a little angry. Do you look down on our Kumogakure? You are willing to give Kurigakure 300 million taels, but not 200 million taels for us. Let's open the skylight and say something bright. Lu Han frowned. I don't dare to underestimate your Kumogakure village, but in comparison, Kurigakure poses a greater threat to us. They have no enemies. Although some experts have been damaged recently, the Legion is still there. And you, Iwagakure village is enough to contain some of your forces, and... To tell you the truth, Tsuchikajinoki, the third generation, has promised to form an alliance with us. Xiaoai's face changed again. In fact, he is also aware of Iwagakure's influence on Kumogakure, not just containment. If Iwagakure really forms an alliance with Konoha, then they may even enter the territory of the Land of Thunder. At that time, Kumogakure will be overwhelmed, and even if they have entered the Land of Fire, they have to withdraw the troops. So, seeing that Xiaoai didn't speak, Lu Han made his final decision. Between Kumogakure and Kurigakure, we choose Kurigakure. The money will be given to them, and if you want to fight, we can only accompany you. In this meeting, Lu Han didn't inform others because he wanted to show off his acting skills and was afraid that others would ruin his plan. Therefore, in the hall, in addition to Lu Han, Konoha has only White Fang Hatake Sakumo. On the Kumobukuro mission, most of the people stayed outside, only 6 people including Xiao Ai. To be precise, they were 1 main envoy and 5 deputy envoys. After listening to Lu Han's words, the other deputy envoys had expressions on their faces. It's not good looking, things are messed up, and Lu Han's words are straight to the point, leaving no room for negotiation. And Xiao Ai, who had been the most excited before, was calmer than the others. Decided, don't have to talk, Xiao Ai asked. Yeah, Lu Han nodded. Okay then, Xiao Ai seemed to have figured out something. Not only was she not annoyed, but she became a little excited. She took out the scroll from her arms and wanted to give it to Lu Han. White Fang, like a ghost, dodged and stopped Xiao Ai. Xiao Ai was startled. He was beaten by White Fang before, and he still had a shadow in his heart. White Fang took the scroll from Xiao Ai, checked it, and handed it to Lu Han. This is your last chance, Konoha, and your last chance. Xiao Ai raised his chin and said, looking at Lu Han with a faint look of disdain. No one understood the meaning of Xiao Ai's words, and Lu Han didn't understand why Xiao Ai suddenly turned fervent. There was no seal on the scroll, but it was tied with yuhi rope. Lu Han untied the scroll and slowly unfolded the scroll. This was a handwritten letter from Hokage I, the 3rd generation, and it was also a war book. Lao Ai made both preparations. The first is to ask for money. War is a battle of interests. As long as Konoha can give enough money, Lao Ai will retreat. In fact, he has a lot of concerns. Whether it is the threat from Iwagakure village or the missing Sarutobi Hiruzen, he is very worried. If it is not a last resort, he does not want to detonate the war. Lao Ai told Xiao Ai that if the negotiation fails, send a secret letter to Han Guang. This is his second-hand preparation. Since you rejected our proposal, then we will solve this matter by duel. Since we have already sent troops, we cannot easily retreat. If you can defeat me, we will retreat. If you lose, I will retreat. Don't ask for your Konoha money, you just need to stay out of the war, and I'm out of the war. Lao Ai said it very directly, and the conditions he offered were also very generous. At the same time, Lu Han also felt Lao Ai's worries. Since he can propose to defeat Lu Han, only let Lu Han stay out of the war, and he will accompany him not to join the war. It shows that he is already afraid. He was afraid of Lu Han's destructive power on the battlefield. A master Hiraishin technique, ready to support Zeon ninjas all over the battlefield, is more terrifying than a war machine like Lao Ai. Lu Han finally understood why Xiao Ai was disdainful. He believed in his own father and believed that his father would definitely defeat Han Guang. Lao Ai, do you know that I've been wanting to duel with you recently, but I just don't have the right opportunity. Lu Han murmured to himself. When the Kumobukuro mission came to blackmail, Lu Han had thought about how to break the game. The most direct method he thought of was to blow up Lao Ai. It is very difficult to kill Lao Ai. In the original book, he was able to fight with tens of thousands of ninjas for 3 days and 3 nights without retreating, and finally died of exhaustion. Lu Han never thought of killing him, but he could defeat him. As long as he can defeat Lao Ai, Lu Han will be able to earn the title of the #1 powerhouse in the world, although he is only the top powerhouse on the bright side. In the ranking of the strongest, Sarutobi Hiruzen was previously considered to be the most powerful existence in comprehensive combat power, because Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was in his prime, had almost no weaknesses. Even so, Sarutobi Hiruzen never defeated Lao Ai. Lu Han knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen had badly injured Lao Ai, but Sarutobi Hiruzen was seriously injured in that battle. As long as Lu Han wins Lao Ai, it will surely shock all parties and prevent other forces from attacking Konoha. How? Are you afraid? Xiao Ai asked with his chin raised. Hey, Lu Han smiled. Seeing that the scroll was closed, he stood up and said, Go back and tell you, Lao Su. Half a month later, At dusk, the Valley of Fire Nation's end will be greeted by Han Guang. Chapter 0680 Tail Beast Big Mouth. Lu Han likes to fight people in the Valley of the End, perhaps because there have been legendary battles there, and Lu Han hopes to create his own legend there. How courageous! Xiao Ai smiled, thinking that her father could finally avenge her. Well, since it's been negotiated, when are you going to leave? Lu Han asked. Leave right away, Xiao Ai said. Okay, by the way, I hope you keep this matter a secret for the time being, and don't let anyone know the content of the negotiations between Akatsuki and us. Lu Han continued, it's a big deal, and I don't want to delay this because of an accident. That's natural, we will keep it a secret. Xiao Ai nodded. Lu Han personally sent Xiao Ai and others out of the Hokage building, and also said goodbye politely to Xiao Ai. Xiao Ai didn't feel anything unusual, but thought that Konoha etiquette was in place. Lu Han was polite, and he followed suit, and the farewell atmosphere was very harmonious. Hundreds of meters to the west of the Hokage building, on the eaves of a tower building, an elderly ninja in his 60s looked in the direction of the Hokage building from a distance, and when he saw the Kumogakure mission coming out, he suddenly came to his senses. Lu Han bid farewell to the Kumogakure mission was seen by him. It was not until the Kumogakure mission left that he looked away and disappeared on the tower. This time, Kurigakure sent a total of 109 envoys to Konoha. 2 of the envoys were from the Ghost Lamp family. They were the 30-year-old Highland Barley and the 63-year-old Ghost Lamp Tushin. Gaidong Highland Barley is the nominal mission leader and has the right to negotiate, but in fact, Gaidong Tushin is the real person in charge. He is the uncle of Gaidong Highland Barley. Sa Lu Han bid farewell to the Kumogakure mission was the Ghost Lamp Tushin. Back in the building, Ghost Deng Tu Shan immediately found the Ghost Lamp Highland Barley, and said in a low voice as if there were ears on the partition, Han Guang has already negotiated with Kumogakure, and seeing how they talked happily, it is estimated that Han Guang agreed to Kumogakure's blackmail, and also I don't know how much money was given. Damn it! The Ghost Light Barley gnashed Kiba's teeth, and his eyes were full of yuhi. That's all our Kurigakure's money, which was used by Hangguang to please Kumogakure. Konoha has no loss at all. Damn it! Hangguang is a bastard who bullies the soft and fears the hard. You bastard! If he hadn't perished with the second-generation Mizukage Sama a few years ago, Hangguang wouldn't have dared to attack our Kurigakure's idea. Shish! Ghost Lamp Tushin motioned to keep his voice down, shook his head and said, it's useless to talk too much. If Konoha really reconciles with Kumogakure village, we will have less leverage to threaten Konoha. At present, Sunagakure village has not taken any action, but the one sent to Sunagakure village will have less leverage. The messenger is from the village that left with us. It is estimated that in a few days, Sunagakure will know our plan and will definitely make a move. Quote. Humph. I must let Han Guang spit out everything that was eaten. Gui Dengqing Barley said bitterly. Don't be impulsive, Gui Deng Tu Shan advised, sighing in his heart. His nephew is good at everything, but he is very impulsive. This time, the reason why the Gaidong clan chose the Gaidong Highland Barley as the mission leader is because he is the genius of the young and strong generation of the Ghost Deng family. Position. But the shortcomings of the Ghost Lamp Barley are also obvious, that is, it is too impulsive and wise. If you want to become a high-level villager, strength alone is not enough. In Kurigakure, the intelligent and strong people basically work in the major legions, and only those with extraordinary intelligence can rank in the high level. Many high-level leaders of Shinobi Village are of average strength, and so is Konoha. The strength of Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado really has nothing to do with the strong, but their status as high-level advisors has never been questioned. Ghost Deng family asked the Ghost Deng Qing Barley to lead the team to go to Konoha. It was a matter of merit, but they were afraid that he would mess up, so they sent the older generation of Ghost Deng Tushin to assist. No matter how much merit there is, it doesn't make much sense. He won't fight, and will naturally help his nephew to make merit. In the Hokage building, Lu Han stood by the window and looked out the window. He said to White Fang next to him, inform Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, and Hyuga Huyang to come over, and we will meet with the Kurigakure mission together. White Fang was stunned for a moment, then said, didn't you say that it will be delayed for a few days? No need. Lu Han shook his head with a mysterious smile, I already have a plan, so. You understand. Lu Han whispered to White Fang for a while. After half an hour, Kurigakure delegation who was notified came to the reception hall, and several high-level Konoha leaders summoned by Lu Han had also arrived. Stop gossiping, Lu Han said straight to the point, speak directly about your purpose. Without even being polite, Lu Han really didn't bother to talk nonsense with Kurigakure. After all, the feud was too deep. 500 million taels. The Ghost Lantern Highland Barley jumped out and stretched out a big hand. You Konoha take out 500 million taels to compensate us for the loss of Kurigakure. As long as you agree, we will retreat immediately, otherwise, our Kurigakure Corps will drive straight in an attack. Enter the land of fire and besiege you Konoha with Kumogakure, Sunagakure, Amegakure. Ho! Lu Han was startled. Where is the big mouth of a lion? It is a big mouth of a tailed beast. Kaharu Udatane and others also looked shocked. They did not expect that Kurigakure would say such an astronomical figure. Kumogakure said 200 million taels, which was all negotiable. Kurigakure actually opened his mouth and asked for 500 million taels. Etc. Wrong. Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, and Hyuga all looked at Lu Han, and they came to their senses. The reason why Kurigakure dared to open his mouth was naturally because they knew how much Lu Han had robbed. How much did you steal? Are there 500 million taels in the Kurigakure treasury? I refuse, Lu said coldly. I think you should understand, now. Ghost Lamp Tushin said. No need to say any more. Lu Han interrupted, to tell you the truth, we have reached an agreement with Kumogakure village. We will loan Kumogakure village 200 million taels, and Kumogakure village will form an alliance with us. You Kurigakure really have the guts. Look, it's because I didn't kill enough last time. I'll definitely visit again. Get out. You, even the good-tempered Ghost Deng Tushin was extremely frightened at this time. Go away, Lu Han shouted again. Call, 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 call. Dozens of Anbu ninjas appeared all over the hall, all drew out their daggers, and looked at Tushin and others with cold eyes.